money in the bank. Hit you with the. Hit you with the bank. Hit you with the. Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the. Hit you with the 808. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang, 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 bang. I'm a boss and you know that I'm finna shine. Got the money in the bank. Got the money in the bank. Got the money in the bank. Bank, 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 bank. Got the money in the bank.
Hit you with the 808.
Hit you with the. Hit you with the bank. Hit you with the. Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the. Hit you with the 808. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang, 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 bang. I'm a boss and you know that I'm finna shine. Got the money in the bank.
Usually I take a backseat, yeah. Low key, I'd say I'm discreet and don't wanna put my heart on the line too many times. I've been burned, I bounce back quickly, and with the drama, tell 'em miss me. Won't ever let it go too far, expose my heart, that's risky. Maybe there's just something about the way you stop and stare. Something in those eyes tell me you care. I'm still learning how to trust. So can we keep this between us? I got a reputation to uphold, so don't reach out your hand for me to hold. Don't rush to tell the world that I'm your girl right now, 'cause I might leave swiftly, just based on my history. Been on a take them flights at different side of trouble. Maybe there's just something about the way you stop and stare. Something in those eyes tell me you care. I'm still learning how to trust. So can we keep this between us? If you choose to stick around, don't say I let you down when I burn it to the ground. Because I'm still learning how to trust. So can we keep this between us?
to sleep, I dance. In the realm of dreams, I dance. When I'm in the boneyard, dance. When I'm caught off guard, I dance. I got a feeling I can't shake, but I'ma try to shake it anyway. I got a move that I can't break, but I'ma break that thing anyway. Not gonna tell you twice, we're gonna dance all night. Not gonna rush the beat, we're gonna move our feet. Not gonna tell you twice, we're gonna dance all night. Not gonna rush the beat, whoa. You know I got to wake up and dance. You know I got to get up and dance. When I'm in the backyard, dance, dance. When I'm in the graveyard, we dance. When I go back to sleep, I dance. In the realm of dreams, I dance. When I'm in the boneyard, dance, dance. When I'm caught off guard, I dance. Feet on the ceiling, feeling great. Don't tell your mama we shaking, babe. Break the rules and do your thing. Bring your shoes, yeah, bring your date. Not gonna tell you twice, we're gonna dance all night. Not gonna rush the beat, we're gonna move our feet. Not gonna tell you twice, we're gonna dance all night. Not gonna rush the beat, yeah. You know I got to wake up and dance. You know I got to get up and dance. When I'm in the backyard, dance, dance. When I'm in the graveyard, we dance. When I go back to sleep, I dance. In the realm of dreams, I dance. When I'm in the boneyard, dance, dance. When I'm caught off guard, I dance.
what you've been told, but it's time to come alive. If you want to party, babe, you got to feel it deep inside. All I really want to do is the things you just can't hide. Put your funk around it, babe, and I'll take you for a ride. You know that feeling. You know that feeling. You know that feeling. You know that feeling. Now listen to the music as it bring you to the light. You can stop to see it, just open your eyes. All you funky people, just join the funky line. Girl, I groove make your soul shaker. Everybody sing along. You know that feeling. You know that feeling. You know that feeling. You know that
bitter, sweet, fiery heat, whispers the man of the hurricane. Oh, stop pushing me, gonna push so hard, I'll just let go now. Lost in your mind, blown on the wings of the hurricane. I won't let go. 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 Ain't never giving up on you. Gonna see this storm all the way through. Gonna push right through the driving rain. Gonna ride on the wings of the hurricane. 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 Spirits climbing, love contriving, passion driving, the tempers rising. Whoa, stop pushing me, you're gonna push so hard, I'll just let go now. Lost in your mind, blown on the wings of the hurricane. I won't let go. I won't let go. Ain't ever giving up on you. Gonna see this storm all the way through. Push right through the driving rain. Gonna ride on the wings of the hurricane. Ain't ever giving up on you. Gonna see this storm all the way through. Push right through the driving rain. Gonna ride on the wings of the hurricane. Ride on the wings of the hurricane. Ride on the wings of the hurricane. Ride on the wings of the hurricane.
take it for a ride. Close your eyes, come with me. It's a heaven in disguise, just for you. Just for you. Just for you. You know I'm in control. I got this, you know. 'Cause I'm in control. 'Cause I'm in control. You know I'm in control. 'Cause I'm in control. You know I'm in control. I got this, you know. 'Cause I'm in control. 'Cause I'm in control. You know I'm in control. I got this, you know. 'Cause I'm in control. 'Cause I'm in control. You know I'm in control. Let me take it for a ride. Close your eyes, come with me. It's a heaven in disguise, just for you. Just for you. Just for you. You know I'm in control. I got this, you know. 'Cause I'm in control. 'Cause I'm in control. You know I'm in control. Because I'm in control. You know I'm in control. I got this, you know. 'Cause I'm in control. 'Cause I'm in control. You know I'm in control. I got this, you know. 'Cause I'm in control. 'Cause I'm in control. You know I'm in control.
Got a chateau in the mountains that change. Yeah, jet set through the islands that change. Zip codes like it is nothing. Top 10K first class on my something. Shorty went viral on a TikTok. Got 'em doing moves in a big mouth. Rocking their head, doing pop like 20 million streams, so she won't stop, can't stop. 911, it's an emergency. Call your friends. Everybody follow me one by one. Moving to the melody. Light up the night, oh. We light up the night life. We go into daylight. As long as it feels right. Light it up, yeah. We light up the night life. We go into daylight. As long as it feels right. Light it up, yeah. Only show me love, I don't clap back. Homie got a catfish face, so you can have that. Topping hits on hits, can you handle that? Lose it all on a high stakes blackjack. Bet big trip, even in a lockdown. Big tips, only with the fans now. My click, pull up with the top down. We keep it going all night. 911, it's an emergency. Call your friends. Everybody follow me one by one. Moving to the melody. Light up the night, oh. We light up the night life. We go into daylight. As long as it feels right. Light it up, yeah. We light up the night life. We go into daylight. As long as it feels right. Light it up, yeah.
We in the club and you party like nobody. We in the club and you dance like nobody. We in the club, girl, you show me your mata, your mata, your mata. We in the club and you party like nobody. We in the club and you dance like nobody. We in the club, girl, you show me your mata, your mata, your mata. club and you party like nobody. We in the club and you dance like nobody. We in the club, girl, you show me your matter, your matter, your matter. We in the club and you party like nobody. We in the club and you dance like nobody. We in the club, girl, you show me your matter, your matter, your matter. We in the club and you party like nobody. We in the club and you dance like nobody. We in the club, girl, you show me your matter, your matter, your matter. We in the club and you party like nobody. We in the club and you dance like nobody. We in the club, girl, you show me your matter, your matter, your matter. We in the club and you party like nobody. We in the club and you dance like nobody. We in the club, girl, you show me your matter, your matter, your matter. We in the club and you party like nobody. We in the club and you dance like nobody. We in the club, girl, you show me your matter, your matter, your matter. Your matter, your matter. Your matter, your matter. Your matter, your matter. Your matter.
Two days ago, Sam on the desk said that our final would be Falcons versus G2. And it turned out she was not wrong. And she is here to continue telling her tales of the future. Hello and welcome to Grand Finals Day of Valorant Game Changers EMEA. I'm Frankie Ward. I'm not a soothsayer. I don't know much about life or Valorant at all. But luckily, Sam and Billy do. And Sam, you have matched your eyeshadow to your blouse today, and we're absolutely loving it.
Also, I will say, what do you mean, Frankie? You give people relationship advice in your stream. You know lots of things.
That's true. That is true.
2 days ago, we had a thing. It was myself, Pilsky, and Yinsu, and we all had like a minute to do our thing, and everyone remembers Pilsky's fun memes because graphic design is his passion. But at the end of the day, it was I who was correct that it would be Falcons and G2 in the grand final, and here we are, and I'm so looking forward to it.
I do have to say it was a valiant attempt by Pilsky to make those predictions. Billy, let's take a look back at this bracket though. What's been your highlight of stage one so far?
Do you know what? I think it was really nice getting to see that best of 5 yesterday from Falcons and Giant X, and the fact that it went all the way to the 5th map. Don't get me wrong, we were tired behind the scenes, but it was just great Valorant to watch and shows that the competition has just gotten tougher, and we're only in stage 1 of 2024. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I can't wait to see how these teams progress through the later stages. Like, it's been amazing so far.
It's been really good to see also Falcons map pool and how while we do talk about best of five being quite difficult for teams, how that team pushed through map by map and guaranteed their spot in their finals against G2 today. So we can now find out how many points they guarantee themselves if they come first or second today. So as you can see, and Sam will explain why, I'm sure the points do increase based on the stages. So actually, if Falcons reach stage 2's finals, they're going to get even more points, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, if they make their way all the way into the finals again, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they're almost guaranteed champs. Even if G2 like win every single stage from here on out, they're almost guaranteed. It will also come down to who wins stage 3. So there's like a lot of moving parts to this, but because, as you say, the points numbers increase over the stages, if you can find yourself in a grand final 2 in a row, that's mad points in your back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, maths is not mathing for me, but I'm going to presume that Sam's hit the nail on the head there. And like we said yesterday as we were ending the show, it just gives these teams motivation and hopefully the ability to actually stay together and want to synergize and want to keep improving instead of, you know, the usual roster changes that we see throughout the season in game changers. So yeah, it's just a nice incentive for these teams to stick their heads together and get to work, really.
Sam, is maths your strong point?
Oh no, never do maths on broadcast.
Oh,
never.
no.
That is a rule that I live by. Don't talk about how many rounds are left. Don't talk about how many rounds something has happened. Just don't, if you can help it, do not try to count.
Well, this is slightly awkward to you two, because you just both said that you can't do maths and we're about to play quite an important game. Basically, it's kind of version of The Price is Right, which is probably too old a reference for anyone watching or competing in Game Changers, but it's basically a game of higher or lower. So I'm going to give you about 5 statements now, and you need to tell me if you think the number in the statement is actually should be a higher number or a lower number. You ready?
Oh, that's fine. That's not actual counting, so we got this.
Let's do it.
This
It's
is
fine.
true. Yeah, it's like predictions, and I want the two of you to work together. So, first of all, has Icebox been played more than 3 times or less than 3 times in these playoffs?
So I know that it's definitely been in vetoes way more than 3 times, but it's very often like a third map. That being said, so it's not 3, and I don't think there's a world in which it's 2, so I'm going to go with higher.
Okay, Billy, are you happy?
Yeah, I think, yeah, we'll go with higher for sure.
All right, then, here we go. The answer is higher 5. So you got the first one right. We're on a roll. I'm going to speed things up with our next question about Mad V. So Mad V has a 21% CL in playoffs. Sam, what does CL stand for?
Clutch.
I'm guessing clutch percentage.
Yes, clutch
Good.
percentage, correct.
Awesome.
And it's
So,
definitely higher.
it's definitely higher, Billy?
Yeah, I would say higher. Falcons are a team that have players that are just so capable of clutching in so many certain situations. So yeah, I would go with higher as well.
It's got to be, surely. Let's take a look. Higher, 26%. It's not quite Jelena levels, but it is incredibly impressive. Okay, question number 3 is about G2. G2 has played a total of 8 maps in playoffs.
It's lower. Because they haven't been in the lower brackets, so it has to be lower.
It has to be,
True.
yeah, mathematically, it has to be lower. True.
Billy, we did maths!
Billy,
High five, is it this way?
Lower.
Yeah, high five! High five me, Billy!
Oh, God. Oh, okay, we're just going to move on. It's fine.
going,
It didn't
keep going.
happen. We never rehearsed this. And you can absolutely tell why we do rehearsals typically on this show. Okay, then. Penultimate question. Yesterday, Falcons Vega played 51 rounds. Higher or lower? Do they play more or
Higher.
less?
Higher. Has
Definitely
to be
higher.
They
Definitely
went
higher.
to 5 maps, and those maps went
Two of
to
them in
double
overtime.
digits. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It
multiple
has to be higher.
overtimes. I think it was on bind, wasn't it? So let's take a look. Are you right? Was it higher? A whopping 61 rounds. Okay, then. One more question. Very finals themed. I like that we're ending on this one. Producers Lara and Martin. So let's see it. This is since 2022. G2 has won 5 Game Changers EMEA stages.
Higher.
Is that higher or lower?
Ooh.
We know they've been in
wait,
7
no.
finals. I'm going to
One.
give you that hint. This
No,
is going to be
it's
their 7th
It
final.
it's lower. It has to be lower.
It's lower then, because it can't
Yeah.
be 5, so it has to be lower.
Yeah, because if you think they lost to Guild one time, right? And they've lost to Oh no, actually, they've only lost one final. I think they've been. Let's have a look and see. They've won 4. There we go. So actually, they've lost 2 finals. And I'm sure you guys can let us know in Twitch chat your G2 knowledge and tell me the stuff that I don't know. Because as I said at the start of the show, there's a lot. You can give me any advice you want. It doesn't need to be about Valorant. It can be about elephants. All right, then. Talking about the elephant in the room, this is going to be a grand final to remember. However, these 2 teams have faced off in the recent past. A few days ago, it was a fairly uneven 2-0, should we say. G2 took over Falcons, but in the group stage, it was a different story, Sam. So talk to me about these 2 teams that both made changes recently.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of had a little bit of a running joke between us about who won the changes, quote unquote, because both teams picked up some incredible talent. And honestly, as it stands right now, it's pretty darn even footing with Vanya and ResQ and even Amy heading over to G2, almost a complete rebuild. And then over on Falcon's side, bringing in, Ava from BBL as well, and then rounding out that roster quite nicely. There's a lot of stuff that's happened in between. And yeah, very kind of head-to-head, toe-to-toe. And I'm looking forward to seeing today who's going to win, because we're 1-1 with matchups between these 2 teams.
Yeah, 1-1 indeed. That's the thing. We've had these teams play both in the group stage and in the playoff stage. And it's funny because Falcons ended up beating them in the group stage. I do believe we have a graphic. Yeah, lovely. And then they ended up losing to them in the upper bracket final. And it's kind of, I don't know, it'll be intriguing to see what they do with the map pool this time round, because that groups game that G2 ended up losing, I don't even know if we should bring it up, but they went 13-1 on Sunset, so it was quite a defeat for them. So yeah, coming into this one, the map pool is going to play a massive factor in who takes the win today.
I feel like...
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I feel like, knowing that Sunset, that was kind of a trial and error period in group stages, because for G2, they know they're going to make it. So they're like, all right, we've got these comps. Let's test them out in officials. Let's see how it goes. And it didn't go. And we have not seen Sunset from them ever since. So I think there's a really good chance that we don't see that again. At least fingers crossed anyway.
We mentioned the new team members, and I think this is going to be such an interesting match because it's proof really that the changes that these teams have made have worked out in their favor, and they've quickly made these pieces work. And of course, one of the biggest roster moves of the entire scene internationally has to be BBL Queen's Vanya, aka a reigning champion of Game Changers EMEA. Her moving from BBL Queens into G2. This was huge, as you can see even from these stats, Billy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When Vanya was playing on BBL Queens, she was the IGL of that team. So I think it's nice that she's come over to G2 Gozen and she's just been allowed to play her role the way in which she'd like to, and not having to sort of focus on leading that team anymore. So yeah, these stats speak for themselves. I'll let Sab go into them because I know that she was absolutely loving these stats when looking at them.
Yeah, it's just obscene that she is #1 rated in 5 different metrics in playoffs. You want to go look at ACS? Oh, look, Vanya's first. You want to go look at KD? Vanya's first with a 2.3, I might add. You want to look at, kills per round. She's almost averaging 1 kill every single round. She is just indescribably good. And the fact that her first deaths are also the lowest out of any player in playoffs, I've said it a few times, right? G2 2v3 situation, GG, wait, Vanya's alive, they win this round, because she's just that good every time, so consistent.
And the pickup of Amy, we don't have time to talk about right now, but I mean, when I saw that Amy had joined G2, my jaw hit the floor. It's such an exciting lineup. And you know what? Bar that 113 loss on Sunset versus Falcons, we really have seen these players settle so quickly into the team of G2. So earlier on today, we sent Sam on a mission to go and rendezvous with Mimi to find out more.
I'm joined by Mimi from G2, and it is Grand Finals day, so let's jump straight into it. Now, obviously, you guys have played Falcons before, but they've played a few more maps in the playoffs, so you've had a bit of time. There's a lot more, tape that you can review on that. Has this been a factor in some of your prep today, or has the focus been more on yourselves and your own team?
The focus has definitely been more on ourselves. I am also the kind of IGL that likes to take things as it comes during the game. I don't really like to anti-strat and prepare too much because I think it's more important that we play our own game than try and adjust to their game. So focus on ourselves, definitely.
Awesome. And so speaking of that, right, so Petra was the IGL last year and you've recently stepped into the role, and I don't think it's something that we've really spoken about too much. So what brought about this change, and how are you feeling, fitting into the new role with all of the new responsibilities?
I mean, honestly, me and Petra just had a chat about it, and we said to just try and go for it, and it worked out pretty nice. I feel, I don't know, I might be a little bit of a control freak maybe, and that's why it probably fits me this well. So I just feel perfectly fine with it, and it really seems like that my new players adjust nice to this new playstyle that they also have to play into. So I think overall it was a good call.
And do you think that this has helped Petra's performance as well? Like sometimes she's on like a duelist and like a double duelist comp. So do you think it helps her to just kind of zone in on what she has to do and allow you to take the reins?
I mean, honestly, Petra always plays well regardless of if she's IGLing or on a lurk role or on an initiator role or a duelist role. It doesn't really matter. She can do it all. So I don't think it matters too much if she's the IGL or not. I know and remember that she told me that she feels more focused being IGL because she has to focus on many more things, and maybe that focus goes away a bit more when you don't have to IGL, but it doesn't matter. It's Petra. She's gonna bang it every time anyway.
True, she is a cracked out gamer. All right, last question here. So we interviewed Tempest yesterday, and he mentioned that a large part of the prep has been getting every individual cracked out player kind of on the same page and synergized and fitting together. So how do you feel that's been going? Do you think we're getting close to G2's final form, or is there still a lot to come?
I think definitely there's still a lot to come, since everyone besides me and Petra on the team are very young players, and there's a lot of things to still improve on, but it's like small things. It's not like really obvious things, but it's very small things that can make any individual really good, because obviously they're correct aimers, and what just comes with time now is experience, and that's really the only thing that will be missing in the long run. But they're all insane. Pretty.
Okay, so I had one last question, but I kind of went through all the questions I had, but one last one kind of popped up. This is potentially your 8th title in Game Changers. Does that ever get boring, or is it that same rush and excitement that you get every time?
Oh my god, it's always the same, because again, it's another year where we have the possibility of 3 titles, because we never did that. We never did 3 in a row. So I really want to do that, and that's the goal of this year. Definitely.
Massive thank you to Mimi for chatting to Sam earlier. Big thank you to Sam as well. Mimi is such a superstar in the wide world of gaming, not just in Valorant. I was in Poland on a rare holiday last week, and I walked past an optician's, and she was literally, her photo was in the window. Like, there is no end to this woman's talents. She is a spectacular ambassador for esports in general. She's an incredible IGL support player, fragger, as Vanya was calling her earlier this week, flex player, and also a glasses model. She's truly the player with the most. But you know what? We've got some slightly less experienced players joining both of these lineups. I believe it will be their first Game Changers final, at least in terms of the top level of the Game Changers circuit. We've got 2 new duelists playing today. So we have ResQ joining G2 and Toki joining the side of Falcons. And they're not rookies in the traditional sense, at least, Sam.
Yeah, look, they have a lot of experience in kind of the grassroots level of Game Changers. Both have been around the scene for an incredibly long time. I can remember Toki going all the way back to like before Game Changers was even a thing, right? But the thing to note about them is just how disgustingly close they are in terms of their stats. It is literally a hair's breadth. So watching them toe to toe is going to be absolute poetry. But the thing that you have to keep an eye on is the first blood percentage, which is just that little bit higher for Toki. And that tells me she's getting those first frags and she is creating massive opportunities for her team. But bearing in mind, G2 have a crazy ratio of coming back from a 4v5 deficit. So I can't wait to see how this interaction is going to look once we head into this grand final.
Yeah, I think one thing to keep in mind as well with those first blood percentages from Toki is a lot of what we were seeing on Bind yesterday was her pairings with Sandra, and Toki going in and getting those frags and Sandra being able to trade it out if necessary. So it's going to be really nice to see that gameplay come into surface here today. And yeah, like you said, two very early on players in their journey so far, but today it's just going to be that support system around them, both teams being on boot camp and having those players helping them get to the end.
But as Mimi said it herself, they are a team of aimers on G2, and it's not different for the side of Falcons either. And earlier on, as I mentioned before, it's becoming a bit of a catchphrase now, we sent Sam to talk, this time to Mad V.
I'm joined now by Mad V from Falcons, and first and foremost, a huge congratulations on making your first grand final as a team. This is very exciting, but we're going to jump straight into it. So, in our interview yesterday, Sandra mentioned that, there were issues in your match against G2, but the big issue was that you knew what they were doing, but you were just struggling to counter it. So, are you feeling a bit more confident today after the experience of having played them twice already?
First of all, thank you, and yes, it feels good to be in the grand final. Yes, we are more comfortable today after our win yesterday. I think we built a lot of things yesterday during the best of 5, and of course today we are more comfortable, more ready to face them again.
Awesome. And obviously we all know that G2 like to run some very interesting compositions that we hadn't really seen, makes it a little bit difficult to anti-strat. So what have your preparations been like for today's grand final?
I don't think it's hard to anti-strat their compositions. It's just like it's our first time facing them. That was the biggest problem, but this time it will be much better.
Thank you very much to Mavi and Agent Sam. And Agent Sam, you've got a very important mission right now, because I need you to rant lyrical about the G2 compositions, because I've enjoyed this so much, listening to everyone on the analyst desk talk about the compositions this week. And there are none more interesting than G2's.
Okay, I got in a lot of trouble for my last rant, but you know what? I stick by what I said. I stand firm in my beliefs, and sometimes having a wacky comp for the sake of a wacky comp is not the play. And speaking of wacky comps, can we just take a look at this bind comp? I really hope we get bind in the veto today, because I really want to see how that plays out, because funnily enough, I don't entirely hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. There've been a few question marks I found for G2 over the last few days, but yeah, some of the weirdest, wildest, craziest comps. We spoke about how they're Ascent comp. They are the only team in EMEA going back, I don't know how far, that have ever played that comp on Ascent. So there's a lot to kind of unpack here. And of course, their Sunset comp, unfortunately not on the graphic, but they also played that, and they played a Phoenix, which is probably why they went 13-1 on that map.
Yeah,
Let's see if they
Phoenix
play it
not
today.
ideal. Yeah. Especially when they're playing against a Cypher on the other side of their opponents that game. But I think as well, just to even go back to your bind point, Sam, both of these teams play double controller, double duelist, and an initiator. So it'll be interesting to see if the choices in those picks, whether it's a Yoru, whether it's a Reyna, whatever it is that comes out, it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top in that sense. And I like that they're implementing the Yoru. It takes me back to when they had sort of Juliano on this team, when she was causing havoc on Pearl, I think it was back in the day. Yep. So yeah, it's really nice to see them try out these new ideas. And even the Ascent comp, it's nice. Like, let's bring new ideas to the table. I'm so sick of seeing the same vanilla comps all of the time. So I like that they're trying to reinvent the game. It's what good players should be doing, and taking their own initiative and playing how they want to play.
Okay, I want to ask you guys really quickly, just looking at the Ascent comp, would you rather have a Reyna or a Phoenix on Ascent, Sam?
That is like asking me if I would rather have mayonnaise or tomato sauce with my ice cream. Neither,
know,
Frankie.
right?
Neither.
Do you know
But if
what?
I had to choose,
Yeah.
probably the Reyna.
Really? I was gonna say Phoenix. I honestly, maybe it's because I'm like low elo and I like seeing Phoenix in my ranked games, but I think you can get a little silly goofy with Phoenix sometimes on the Ascent. I don't mind it so much.
Does Silly Goofy win championships though? That is the question, Billy.
Maybe.
There's a maybe.
I don't see why not. I don't see why not.
Listen, guys, the map veto is ready. And remember, this is a full best of 5 grand final today. And because G2 came through the upper bracket, they actually get to veto the first 2 maps. Falcons do not get a veto, but they do get to select the first map, I believe. So just in case you're looking at the top of those graphics and going, that's not what Frankie is saying. That's because this is been our graphical week. So it makes absolute sense as to why that is, Sam. What are you expecting, though?
There's so many possibilities here, right? The sunset being banned out makes so much sense. You know what? Maybe they took what I said the other day to heart. Maybe they were like, you know what? Nari doesn't vibe with this comp, so we're not gonna play. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe I'm just gonna keep believing that to be the case. But we're gonna kick things off on Breeze, and this has been a map that Falcons have not loved. So it's a really, really smart move for G2 to just pick that up right out the gates and possibly put Falcons in a little bit of an uncomfortable position.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that Ascent ban coming out from G2. They have been banning it in their other playoff games, but they've beat Falcons on this 13-6 previously. So I'm surprised they didn't let Falcons ban that one out. But yeah, as you said, coming into this one, they have played Breeze before, and that was a double digits game. And Split, that's no surprise to see Falcons come out on Split. They played a tremendous game on Split yesterday.
Well, map 3 going to be bind. Of course, bearing in mind, we're not going to have any more bans, so we know exactly what our veto is, or what maps we're going to have, but it's about the order, because going 3-0, that's it, it's GG. And for, G2, Breeze out first up, then you got bind a little bit later on, and if we need to, we'll get to that icebox where I'll have to sit through the brimstone again, but it wasn't the worst thing, and G2 had some really good adaptations with it, so you know what? Fair enough, G2. You're allowed to play that comp on that map, and we'll finish things off over on Lotus, where G2 will probably take that mop and clean up.
I have to say, ladies, slightly disappointed that Breeze is the first map, because we're going to see a mirror composition. There's going to be nothing that's going to get Sam absolutely howling. Billy, do you think that this is the best map for G2 to start their grand finals campaign on?
I think it's good. I think Breeze has always been one of those maps where it's kind of like an aimers map, and I think with the mirror comp, we're going to see who kind of comes out on top based on who's using their utility better, who's able to one-tap each other. Like, it's when you really get to see the fundamentals of a team, because they are literally running a mirror matchup.
I mean, I just love this composition, man. Viper, I'm such a Viper believer. I'm in love with Viper. For anyone who hasn't seen, Anders made a video, Anders, like ex-Fnatic Anders, made a video about Viper and how she's got like a almost 60% win rate globally at the moment. It's just obscene how much value you're getting out of her. I love seeing her there, and I love that there are some maps where Cypher is still the golden child, because KJ has like stolen all of his thunder. So yeah, let's keep some maps where Cypher is viable, please.
Golden children? Oh my goodness, Sam. That means our casters are ready. We have got the fabulous Pilski and Pavlos joining us for this grand final. I can't wait to see who takes it, and I can't wait to hear you boys cast it. So please take it away.
Yeah, I can't wait either. This is going to be an awesome matchup, right, Pilski? This is the final. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what both of these teams have been fighting for since the very beginning. Now, obviously, we've got Breeze up first. I was about to say Bryze, and that doesn't even make sense. Give me your thoughts. Give me your breakdown. What are the expectations for this one, Pilski?
I'm interested to see it, because obviously it was played in the group stage between these two teams. Reasonably convincing win for G2. You've seen a lot of crazy comps coming out for both of these squads, and we're going to start off with a mirror comp, just kind of a middle ground. Both of these teams feeling each other out a little bit. Very keen for this grand final, though. See if this G2 rebuild is successful, whether Falcons is going to continue this crazy upward trajectory after being relegated and then getting themselves a 3rd place at the end of last year.
Well, it's do or die. It's going to be G2 Gozing starting things off on defense while Falcons Vega on the attack. As we instantly see sort of a crunch onto this A side. Double-sided approach. Aim main already infiltrated. There may be trouble as Rescue tries to fend off the attackers, but as she's taken down, it's Petra with a double. So G2 Gozing sticking on top. Ludge. That's an upper angle. Could be really strong if he catches them off guard, and she does so. That's Ludge swinging it all back in favor of the Falcons. And G2 might be in a little trouble here as they've got to come back. Amy, good on the trigger. That leaves equilibrium across the board. A 2 versus 2 with everyone sight and Ludge on the flank, but once caught, so G2 topsy-turvy. Yet another time, Ava tries to make it a difficult one, but Amy's got it all locked and loaded. A triple by the end, and first blood for G2 Goza.
Yeah, Falcons just trying to convert that Hall split there. Obviously, with the Halls getting re-added back into Breeze, it's something that's seeing a lot of popularity. The Halls lurk, of course, and in this case, not committing the wall across from mid and turning it into a big split, but instead the A main pressure with Luge coming through Halls and almost turning that round on its head. Definitely went back and forth between both of these teams. But Amy, ever good in the clutch, one of the standout Sentinels, and I don't think anyone's too surprised after her year on Ascend last year that she's been picked up in this G2 rebuild.
That goes there.
And I think it's what Billy was saying in the analyst desk as well. This is an A map, right? And somewhere where Falcons can sort of show what they're made of, right? This is what a lot of people kind of believe why Falcons is a strong team in this series, and why they can definitely do damage to G2, and one of the reasons why they did take them down in the group stage as well.
Chance for damage on the anti-eco here for Falcons. They've been a lot of round 2 eco wins across the playoffs so far, more than I'm usually comfortable with. It caused me a lot of great pain, especially because I often like seeing the clean anti-ecos, but it's going to be a nice little smoke pop and a plant straight away from Toki. Oh, they deny it just in time there.
It's a good reveal. Definitely allows G2 to have an even easier job at closing this second round up, is what you expect, but Falcons would have loved the plant there. Might have boosted up the credit score, might have given them an extra orb to work with. Toki loves to go aggressive with the blades as soon as she's got them up, so we'll have to wait a little bit longer for that one. At least gets one due to death, but by the end of it, all they're hoping for are consolidation kills. Vanya, nice shot through the smoke, and keeping the pesky Falcons at bay. It's a no-fly zone, this A site. And one by one, Falcons' wings are being clipped off.
Yeah, Sandra looking for further damage. She's been on the lurk through elbow this entire round, only now just getting involved, but it's an instant headshot onto Vanya. Another gun taken away here for G2, and that's all Falcons are really looking for here is damage.
Couple more of those.
One enemy
Too
remaining.
bad of a solution here for Falcons, but a swift drop of Ava and Sandra means the end of that round. G2 2-0 on the board. Falcons, time to play catch-up.
See what they're able to put together here. Already the lurk up through elbow from Sandra. Obviously, these mirror comps, very, very popular comp on this map at the moment, especially because both of these teams have shown the tendency to play some crazier comps. I was almost surprised, as they mentioned on the desk, that Ascent was banned out and they're going to go for Breeze as the opening pick, something that hasn't been played since group stage there for G2, especially after they won it. It is one of those things where sometimes you do want to change up the veto just to be able to, you know, waste a bit of prep from your opponent, especially across the whole map pool. It's a lot of time invested trying to get it prepared on all of those maps. It's a nice little elbow walk from Rescue, looking for the lurk of Sandra early on.
So far forwards, but it seems like Falcons are expecting something like that. Quite passive on their approach, but instead Mad V is the first to job, so she's going to have to be calling from the grave as G2 have got the advantage here, and with that pick, they can just drop back and play it safe.
Yeah, the bonus win would be massive for them. But you look at this, Toki. She feels like she's got good space out A main here. Able to find the timing. Taking out the cam there. Vanya only alone on the site with a ghost here, supported by Amy from Bridge.
So far, dry peeking from Toki, but this touch screen allows further movement. One to the right-hand side has to be the attention for Toki here. Spots the pixel. The spray is timely. Eventually taking one down, and that's G2 on equal footing. But Sandra, this is an interesting lurk in the making. Could definitely catch them off guard. Mimi reads it, but it's not quick enough to the trigger, so it's still a difficult affair. Amy, you've got to pick up the pieces here, but the lurk is still there. you've got to be careful of your back line, as Sandra could come into the fight at any second at this point. Ava closing up, has to get traded out. Sandra still being a menace in the back line, hasn't been taken down just yet. As a fight still commences onto the site, trying to isolate the kills before the rotations have to come through. Ludge does get one, but quickly traded right back up. Toki in main clears it all down. It's a damaging round for Falcons, but one they pick up nevertheless.
Yeah, well navigated. Nice nerve settler, especially with the elbow walk of Rescue, finding damage there early on. You lose your KO. Going to be difficult to start to get into these sites against, you know, this Cypher Viper comp. Definitely going to be heavily disrupted by U2, and they were, but they managed to find the right passage of play to convert that 4-on-5. Take pretty significant damage though, and G2 straight away with the reinvestment here. Get the Cypher over onto this B site in combination with the wall across middle. Rescue getting the operator out, and once again getting active, but not going to be finding too much contact in middle because Falcons is going for the quick A play here.
Yeah, Rescue on the operator, so damaging. One of the youngest players in the tournament as well at 17 is quite a dangerous prospect. A prodigy in the making, perhaps. But for now, it's an aggressive stance from Falcons. Again, the tag exactly where G2 would have wanted it, and it's an easy pickup, looking exactly like the second round thus far. And with Petra getting a kill through the smoke for yet another time, it seems like history is repeating itself. Petra finding even more damage, and Falcons, even though they get themselves a win a round before, it's all crumbled to pieces an instant later, with Sandra looking to pick up all these pieces herself up against the 5 of G2, who, by the way, haven't taken a hint of damage this round.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the Outlaw buy, to be honest. 3 players with light armor here, but Sandra really unable to find too much impact. It's kind of been solo on the other side of the map. See if she's able to find any damage. It's the contact setup swinging off of Vanya. And Rescue unchecked. Both players a little bit of an awkward exchange with the scopes out. Peach creates some space. That has to be dodged, but she doesn't even manage to do it. Petra, a 3k from stairs side in a round to reset the money of Falcons early on is really going to steady the ship at G2. 5 players surviving there. They are really off to a great start here on Breeze.
Yeah, and Undoubtedly are flawless at that as well. So stacking it up here for G2 goes in. Brilliant start. And it's exactly what they want. And for Falcons, I think this is a theme they've had so far, right? Pilski, this is they've been bringing out timeouts exactly when they've been needing them, not playing around at all. And we're seeing that come alive in the 5th round, rather, of the first game in this grand finals.
Yeah, I think this is where you need to see a little bit of leadership from Eva as well as the coach. You know, obviously G2, and especially with the superstar rebuild, are the much more experienced team in this situation. In a best-of-5 grand final, although Falcons has been a favorite in this tournament, and the off-season roster shuffle means that there's big question marks about who really is the best team until you actually get through the entirety of the playoffs and you start to answer a few of those questions. Falcons is still a very inexperienced team in big games. Not many players, I think, you know, who have made it to overseas lands. I know that obviously over there in the Middle Eastern region, they do have a lot of local lands and things like that they play, and they do play on boot camp, so they do have that kind of experience. But in terms of big games, playing a grand final, you know, Falcons went straight through contenders. They got that 3rd place last year, but this is their first chance at a grand final, and this is G2's home territory.
Yeah, it's a matter of having practice at doing it time and time again. You've got pressure on your shoulders here, and you need experience with that pressure. While G2's got a ton of that. 7-time finalists, 5-time winners, and a world champ at that as well. Couple of world champs in this roster. So Falcons definitely hitting way above their weight here. And it's time for them to prove themselves, right? We know there's a lot of talent here. We know that they're putting MENA on their back right now. This is the furthest any MENA team has made it into any Valorant tournament at that. It's of this level, right? At an EMEA level. So definitely a lot of prospect for this team, something that we're definitely looking forward to, seeing how they grow, but try and give their best fight for this final, at least this first map. This contact is somewhat fruitful, a trade that they take, but not a position where they can retrieve a weapon. Yeah, moving to this A site, it seems that G2 has got this well telegraphed.
Yeah, I mean, it is a 1-for-1. Falcons will take that. Really just looking for damage in this round with a couple of big impact ults, though. They find the right angle of approach. Could be a chance at a round here. Orb goes up, Snakebite to zone
30
the attackers
seconds
back,
left.
make sure they can't scale up into the A site. Falcons are going to take a little bit of space in middle here, unchecked, so an A split is definitely on the cards here.
Poison orb emitting.
It's just a matter of finding that first pick, isn't it? And Vanya's going to be such a nuisance on the same main cross. Oh, talk about crossing. Toki, oh, an opportunity. But Amy is crispy with it. Give her another chance, you'll make it a triple. Yes, you're up against pistols, but it's making it down. It makes it look so easy.
Yeah,
and there you
I
have
mean,
it. G2 4-1.
The anti-eco hype is something that I think is overdone a little bit, but when the shots are that crispy, like it's just pleasurable to watch, you know. It just makes me happy to see one taps like that from Amy. She's looking in fine form, a 3K on the pistol round. She's playing very confidently. I mean, she obviously was in the grand final against BBL at the end of stage 3. And worth mentioning as well, while we're talking about it, that only one of Eva or Vanya will go back-to-back here at EMEA.
That is very true. And Rescue, lovely shot onto Toki. Already giving them the advantage, and info gathered on the second swing. Viper's orb does come up though, so forced to draw back. As Ludge itself starts to move even closer, but with the repositioning, it's grand for a pick. Nicely done there by Rescue. And G2, just like that, are comfortable. Falcons barely were able to move an inch in this round, and it seems like it might already be over. It's 1 minute on the clock, and they've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, pop flash set up by Mad V there. Pushes the op off the line. Rescue, dash activated, keen for a repeat. You've got the close position of the KO and the Cypher. Big crossfire to be running into for Falcons here.
And again, information gathered. So the rest of you two start to line up on this A site. Nobody holding out on B, knowing fully what the plan of Falcons is this one. And Rescue manages to find impact again. 2 more, and it's the ace. Reload and 5 bullets to the chamber.
One enemy remaining.
Oh my goodness me! Petra denies the ace, but that's a Rescue round written all over it with an Andalucia flawless. That's 5 rounds to 1 for G2, starting to run away with the game.
Yeah, Falcons are looking way too hesitant. They're getting picked apart. They're constantly playing from behind. They're getting kind of shut down by pretty common angles. It has to be said, like both Amy fighting from stairs there, Petra in the previous round, Rescue, you know, they're decent shots on the operator, but realistically, you have to call it like it is. She is just holding angles with the op, and Falcons are walking into them. They are making this game a little bit too easy for G2 right now.
You start to have to wonder how the Falcons switch the pace up. You know, you've got ultimates available, and Toki seems to be willing to use the blade straight out of the bat. This is a pistol round, right? You don't really expect a victory, but if you draw out the pistols, that's a commitment. And a pick maybe could make this fathomable, but it's hard. G2, this new restructuring, the new playstyle that they're bringing out seems to be working out for them. But for this round, that's a pick for Toki. That's exactly what Falcons needed. But can they close this out?
That's actually huge. They pick the Cypher, so no more trips. They're immediately going to reroute back towards B. Vanya trying to buy time for the rotations to come in. Orbs up, Snakebite drop behind it. But Falcons, they can definitely get into this B site. Walls invested, they got a trip on the flank, and they can potentially get this pit down here if they can clear out Vanya.
I mean, Vanya is alone, but it's a very dangerous Vanya at that. Go into a site and you're down. No, she might come out with a kill. That's exactly what happens! 90-degree turn, and that's Toki dead. G2, they could deliver with defending the site, and Rescue is right on the flank, and Falcons have got no idea. Oh, it's looking bleak, though. Those shots did not connect, and Vanya's still being a menace, though. That's exactly what G2 need. Just keep them busy while the rest of the G2 start to follow up. That's exactly what they do. Rescue finds an opening as Matt V was out into the open, and Vanya keeps on giving. This is incredible. Falcons thought they had a chance with the blades at the start, but they're quickly running out of time. 10 seconds. Vanya was a first-player contestant, and she's only now fallen. 4 seconds. There's no time to plant. All Rescue has to do is stay alive, but she doesn't.
Oh, that round
for a
was...
second there, I thought Falcons had it, but G2 had it, but it's Falcons win.
That round was a circus, to say the least. That was, you know, whiffs all over the place. Falcons, they really needed to just get in there, scale into the site, and try to take Vanya out. They Obviously had a snake bite on her, Toki diving with the knives, the Hunter's Fury that were very much trying to isolate the pick onto the Viper. And the call was good, to be honest. I think if this was like an earlier playoffs game or a group stage game, something like that, I reckon Falcons runs in there with full confidence. There's definitely a different aura about them in this grand final right now. They're playing very hesitantly, taking their time, but they still get that round done. A bit of a gift from G2, I think. Obviously a bit of an awkward exchange, all things considered. But G2, plenty of cash to reinvest. They're going to buy up again. Operator comes out. Petra trying to contest this Halls push, which, you know, as a Sova player myself, it's a miserable job to be doing a lot of the time. Just gathering that mid-round info, keeping an eye on Halls. Sometimes you peek into 3 players. Sometimes you peek into an op die for free. It's a little bit of a nightmare. But Falcons this time, looks like they're considering the mid-wrap into A after seeing the pit go down in A main there.
Just a start shot through this round, but you've got to cooperate. Got to get back into the zone, and Mimi's the one on the hot seat. Petra, crossfire, Viper's pit in main. Oh, this A site is looking difficult to enter, and Rescue on the flank is not going to let them pass. Petra also, all of the G2 goes and players line up their shots. Vanya is challenged through the Viper's pit, and blink and you miss it. Falcons lose that round.
Yeah, I mean, G2, they're all over this game. I think the last round very much felt like a bit of a slip-up. A little bit of sloppiness. A nice opening pick from Toki, and it's something that I've been talking about on the desk all of this stage. She has been one of the highest rated players. She's been one of the most aggressive duelists in terms of taking first kills, and at one point was a whole 10% ahead of the rest of the duelists in the competition and everyone else in the competition at actually converting those first kill opportunities and those attempts. So I think she's slowed down a little bit since then, but you can clearly still see that last round with the half buy is a perfect example of why she's a great asset to this Falcons team. I think at the moment, though, they are really struggling to put rounds together. G2's all over this defensive side of Breeze. And Falcons back on the half buy here. Still haven't found impact with that pit. I'd love to see them invest it and actually get some value out of it, because they really could have cycled a whole new one by a round or two's time if they had actually invested it on that B side after plant.
Yeah, it was probably a conversation between using other ultimates at that time as well, as they had 4 available at a single instance. So it's a matter of juggling the ults. A difficult conversation to have, especially when you're not winning the rounds that you do expend the ults on. So Falcons now rotating towards this left-hand side. 2 defenders. 2 defenders you don't want to be seeing. I think you can say that for the entire G2 Cozen roster. That's what makes them so scary. But the null command indicates the attempt. Rescue in the middle. Mimi there to assist. The flash is supreme. Or if it was a team flash, maybe not so much. Still, keeping things even for G2 here as Mad V will be brought back into life. Rescue debating another shot and another attempt in, but awaits for the teammates. The smarter call. Patience doesn't pay dividends as Falcons start to rain upon G2. All of their bodies drop and it's down to Vanya. Oh, the star piece of G2, the new star piece at that. But with 10 seconds, it's Sandra on the hot seat. Sandra needs to go in for the spike plant, all for the attempt on the kill, but Vanya's just going to go all the way around and play the clock to perfection, getting the kill as well. G2 on 7, and Falcons start to trail behind.
Oh, it's just another round that slipped through Falcons' fingers there. Unfortunately, you know, Eva, I believe, droning in the open. I love this heads-up play from G2, though, recognizing that the KO ult's online. It's a very high percentage play to be committing to that B site with the KO ult, and Amy was the one to mine walls this time around. She invests the trips over on that B site, the cage on the right side of site, and she's able to just sit back, keep an eye on that Halls line, have the camera for middle, which actually gives you a lot of info, particularly in an anti-eco situation. It's a nice little cam for you to throw down. But really, that should have been Falcons' round nonetheless. Vanya coming up massive and punishing the mistakes of Falcons in a 1-on-3 scenario. Falcons now back on the buy. Drone to kick off the play. Hunter's Fury available. And once again, I'm waiting to see this pit get invested. It is only a 1-1-3 though. They're only looking to apply pressure to that B site. You've still got Mad V all the way back in spawn. Sandra keeping an eye on the B side of things. So after that drone, after a little bit of pressure, G2 are looking for info and looking to re-clear A main here. And without seeing most of the team, just one player, they can kind of get a bit of a read that this might be a reroute back towards the B site.
Here. I got the spike.
It's always a difficult one. especially leaving it to 45 seconds. Toki has had bad luck in the entry so far, never really finding space to get a kill in the entry, and it seems her fate will be sealed again in a similar fashion. It seems that there's always nooks and crannies that G2 goes and can look upon, but still Falcons remain alive, afloat perhaps. A flank from Vanya could be influential, but G2 have to wait on that one, and it could be notified by a Cypher Trap.
Okay, well popped. Trying to kick off this retake here and clear out the pit if they can here. Starting to creep around the pit and contest this post plant.
Yeah, it's difficult to have protocols for this type of situation. There's so many different positions that could be taken up, especially in the Viper's pit, but so far so good for Mimi as they shut down Ludge straight out of the bat. Petra can stick on the defuse as her teammates do have her back. And as swiftly as that, G2, I talked about protocols on the start of it. It seemed that they've got those locked and loaded.
Just another retake, unfortunately. Another missed opportunity for Falcons. Able to get into the site, able to get themselves into a 3-on-3 post plant with the pit down. You'd love to be converting that kind of round. But G2 is just all over this game. Strong across-the-board performance from pretty much everyone. Great little KO ult to be able to complete that retake and make Falcons' life difficult. Trying to pop out of that pit or try to stall with any util. So Falcons, once again, it's a force buy this time. I mean, they're down to light armor with rifles and just the Sheriff armor on Sandra. They really feel like they're hurting for rounds here.
Kind of goes to show why G2 goes and pick this map to begin with. Sort of thought, yeah, maybe the individual firepower can be highlighted, but G2 are clean.
Yeah,
really well rehearsed on a map that Falcons didn't really want to be playing the past few days.
I mean, there just really hasn't been that many reps. I think this is only the second time we've seen Breeze in playoffs in general, and both of these teams not really playing much Breeze. The only Breeze game they've played, I think, in this event has been against each other. So not that much chance for Falcons to get comfortable on it, and I think G2 are taking full advantage of that.
Again, leaving the clock down 45 seconds before the approach starts to happen, and G2 goes and can definitely hear the alarms ringing from the door opening. Mimi on side, having to look away from the flash, but Vanya's got her teammates back. God, that was quick. The Outlaw only has 2 bullets to the chamber, and 2 kills were collected off the back of it. That's why you need to buy full armor, guys. Just things to learn off of this final. Falcons just trailing behind, but that was a crucial pick here from Sandra. Maybe they have a flank in the making, but the fact that Ludge is the only person to assist with a push from main with 13 seconds to spare, it does not look pretty. That shot did, but it's not enough. There is no way Sandra can get herself out of the situation, and therefore it's G2 goes in, just running away with this game.
That's the power of the Outlaw, man. Like 3.4k buys. If they're either going to half buy or they're going to force rifles, light armor with util. No one wants to have to go down to a buy without Vandals, you know, have to go down to Guardians or Bulldogs. Definitely something you see against this Outlaw meta in the main circuit, but unfortunately a bit of an oversight for Falcons who really want to try to get around together, and Vanya's able to punish that. She's playing lights out right now, and it's something that the desk highlighted. I mean, her performance so far in the playoffs has been pretty insane.
Toki to lead the charge. It looks like Falcon wants to switch up the pace a little bit here, but it seems Toki is not having the support she needs. The utility from Gozen was perfect, cutting off the rest of the teammates of Falcons to move in, making it nigh impossible. But they do find a different way of entry. They've got the A main site. The spike can go down, and at 4v5, not impossible, but they want to take the backside as well. Petra using the stairs like a master. Picking off another and doing damage to another 2. Falcons, yes, on a lower buy, but this is a last round and a half, and there is no other resource. Mad V leading from the front in kills, but she's got to find 2 more. But Mimi's not going to let her do that. Leader versus leader, but it's G2 Gozen's captain to take the cigar this one. The defuse, double digits at halftime.
Yeah, that was just a dominant defensive side start for G2. Definitely see why they're picking up the breeze here. Full confidence in this grand final. And Falcons, I feel like watching them play, you know, I've seen a lot of their games so far this event, and, you know, when they're playing their best, you think they might have the potential to win the whole thing. But today, that is definitely not one of those days. This game of Breeze, they're looking very hesitant, not looking like their confident selves right now. And I think G2 are taking full advantage of that. They're playing very well. All players contributing across the board. Everyone all over things.
Yeah, you've got to be thinking last night's best of 5 that went to overtime on a couple of maps as well. Falcons, you really don't know how much sleep they've got on them, especially with the adrenaline that they had right after it. It's hard to imagine they got plenty full of sleep while G2 goes and had a day of break. So that's going to be an interesting one, an interesting dynamic in regards to sustainability in this series. But look at this. Teams that ever wanted to take a chance, but Toki's the one that might do it all with the flank. Oh no! Oh, the shots aren't connecting, but at least she's good for one. But a teammate drops. Ever now in trouble, spotting a weapon but not pulling the trigger in time. Surprised at that, but Falcons keeping it in contention. Sandra opening up the line, hand in hand with her teammates. Toki picking alone, and alone won't do it. Disjointed, they shall fall, and G2 goes in a clear advantage. A 3v1 where Mad V is asked to do the impossible, I think, but she would have wished she could have gotten the kill on that. It would have made this so much more easier. But there's way too many angles, and the pressure of the Titan spike ticking is not gonna be it. And 2 rounds away from map 1 going into the hands of G2 Gozen has got to be in the heads of Falcons right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a non-starter in the grand final, unfortunately. Had potential to be able to pick up that pistol. I think for Falcons going 1-for-1 early on, they're in a decent position once again. But none of these rounds where they even get down to like a slight advantage, 4v3, XVX, 3v3s, all of these rounds are going the way of G2. Falcons are completely unable to take advantage or capitalize on some of these even situations. A lot of those opening rounds to their attacking side, it felt like they were getting first pick quite a lot, and it's just kind of felt like a bit of a domino kind of snowball effect for this game for Falcons. It's a non-starter, they haven't really gotten rolling, and I think this timeout, and you know, regardless of what happens on this game of Breeze, there's still a whole best of 5 in front of them. You know, even if they get dominated on this map, they really need to pick up some momentum. They need to start grinding back some rounds and start to, you know, get that self-belief going and get the communication going back up, because if they don't start to break that momentum moving into the next map, whether they win Breeze in some crazy comeback or whether they just lose as you'd expect them to, it's really, really important for them to actually start to get something going here for the rest of this grand final.
With that break, let's put the heads down. Start taking it round by round. Yeah, this is a long one. You're right. It's a best of 5 series. You've got to think that you're playing this out. But for now, the early engagement from Toki not going her way. I feel like that's been sort of a theme on this one. Not necessarily of Toki not finding the shots, but it's a bit of disjointment from the rest of the team, and those early picks do seem to be favoring G2 Gozen. But for now, better weapons. It seems like a 12th round is destined for this star-studded roster.
Bit of A main pressure. They're going to call the audible back to B, which is the correct call. So you can all see on the radar. Falcons here, just with a half investment. You know, they're so far behind. They don't want to force and not be able to buy next round. So just the half investment. A lot of sheriffs, a lot of marshals. Falcons have shown the propensity to be quite sharp with a lot of these weapons and do some economic damage. But as G2 kick off this B exec, they're starting to rotate into position. It's going to be a retake right from the get-go, though.
Free site take, though. They'll be happy with it. And Rescue's got it covered. Sandra, good trade. Outlaw won't be picked up. Thinks otherwise of it. And Amy showing her ground will keep them busy for a little bit in mid, forcing Sandra to having to go for the wrap. Check if she's still there. That's a pick. So now numbers advance for Falcons. Can they secure it? Lovely flash. And Vanya swing, allowing for the double. It's exactly what G2 Gozen needed. Make things even more easier for them this round. They don't now allow Falcons to play their card, forcing their hand every single time. And this round will be no different.
Yeah, the communication looking pretty phenomenal on G2 here, and that's the big plus of having someone like Vanya on your team. You can see with the wall cycles on the Viper, having that IGL experience previously, she's calling a lot of these wall drop plays. She's calling a lot of the plays where she's, you know, calling from the flash and the KO, be able to peek half wall there. Previously, you saw on the pistol round, they dropped the wall and, you know, double or triple peek spawn. Having a strong voice like that on the Viper to be able to play around these wall timings is super, super strong for you. Last chance here for Falcons, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, even though she's had to change her role a bit, she's still having the high fragging performance that she had back in BBL.
Especially in the playoffs. G2 on the Halls harassment. Oh, that's not how you wanted to start for Falcons. I feel like they haven't had a single first blood this entire game.
Yeah, I hope the analyst desk reads up on the stats of that, because it'll be an interesting one. Definitely missing out on the early trades. And it seems to follow suit up until the 1 minute mark. All Falcons players spread out across the map. It's going to make it easy for an infiltration here for G2 Gozen.
Yeah, the Outlaws looking strong once again. I mean, you saw how much investment Falcons put in that last round with the Sheriffs and the Marshals. That Outlaw definitely dangerous against this buy here in round number 15. Nice scan onto A main. You're going to at least see the Jet. Not sure if it got the KO as well. It did. So that's something you can definitely read into. These are not the agents you're usually leaving on the lurk here. And out comes the wall towards this A site.
The cross does come through.
Enemy remains.
Oh!
30
And it seems like G2 Gozen want to fight this, but Lurger's got it all covered. Amy turning it around though, drawing it back to 1v1, a Cypher 1v1 at that. But I don't think Amy's got any idea. Sandra's being loud about it, but I think she's just out of range. How'd it all crumble in a matter of seconds?
Planted the spike.
An equal chance beside. Spike planted. Sandra knows, but Amy's the one to swing, and Amy takes things to her own accord. A Red Bull clutch for Amy, and as G2 goes in with map number 1 victory.
Yeah, an absolute stomp on map 1. Just classic G2 grand finals. They all look switched on. They all looked ready for this game. I think Falcons, they seriously need to go back to the drawing board, and this is where you're really going to get to see, you know, whether they have what it takes to be able to contest a grand final like this. This is where you need your strong leaders, your strong voices in the coach or the IGL, or even the people who are, you know, the spiritual leaders of the team, to be able to pump everyone up, pick everyone up when they've had a bad game, to be able to actually come into the next map and try to be competitive, because, you know, Breeze was an absolute whitewash for G2, and you can see that they're already feeling confident moving through the rest of this grand final. The vibes are immaculate right now.
That's exactly what you want if you're G2 Gozen, right? You start off right out of the gate swinging, and that's exactly what they've done. They've shown exactly why Breeze was their own map pick, and why they thought they had a good chance against Falcons on this one. And they've had a day to rest, and they've made it look good so far. There's a chance for Falcons to turn it all back around on Split, so we'll see you in just a bit to have a look at that map as well.
I know a place that will break you into 1,000 pieces. Stay away from them. Stay away from Lorca, Paco, and Picasso. Don't ask about Lola. Ay, Caballo Grande. Ay, Dolor de Nieve. But in spite of everything, it occurs to you to visit Andalusia. Don't say I didn't warn you. Be careful of the Andalusian crush.
Hey guys, it's Jimmy Lin. In this series, I'm going to walk you through Attack on Pearl. Watch out for the stairs, clear this angle. You're going to be able to fight this.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Do you feel what the eyes can't see? You hear it calling way down deep. Trust your heart, it'll keep you true. This world expects so much from you. From the dark out into the light, it'll come in the middle of the night. You were raised in the sacred place. Evil runs when it sees your face. Throne calls your name. Good will stand and the shadows will hide. 1,000 souls listen at your side. Take your people into the light. They won't take you alive. Stand here and fight. They won't take you You must follow me, my friend. Stay together, we can make it home again. Take a look at this place once more. The people, the home that you're fighting for. Throne calls your name, you know it's your time. Good will stand and the shadows will hide. 1,000 souls listen at your side. Take your people into the light. They won't take you alive. Stand here and fight. They won't take you Every step will test your soul. You will walk out pure and whole, stronger than the day before. Tomorrow you'll fight for more.
G2 had an absolute breeze to kick off their grand final against Falcons as Amy clutched a 1v2 situation to bring the map home 13-2. It was a flawless attack side for G2. However, Sam, we only saw 3 rounds of it.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it just do be like that. I don't know what to say about that. You know, the defensive side was just so incredibly strong that we just didn't have the opportunity to see much of an attacking half. I will say that as strong as their defensive side was, Falcons, Billy, seem to be struggling a bit on their own attack.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a couple of rounds with Toki even just dashing in with no sort of supportive utility, not being able to clear the sites properly. And it just meant that Falcons Vega were really struggling to sort of isolate those players. I think there was a couple of rounds where they struggled to isolate Vanya in particular on the B site. So yeah, just playing really, really hesitantly. But I guess that's where you could see where G2 had their protocols. They were really strong. They were playing way more disciplined, as we can expect from this side. And as much as we didn't get to see their attack, we can say for sure that the defensive side was certainly dominant.
I mean, just look at those numbers as well. Vanya with twice the kills of Sandra. And we came up with a motto in our Discord green room. And that, Sam, was Vanya alive, they win.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I said it on the pre-desk as well. Like, that's just who she is right now. If it is like a 2v3 or a whatever, if Vanya is still alive. We also pointed out that her KD was 0.9. So on average, she's getting almost 1 kill per round. In this particular matchup, they played 15 rounds and she got 20 kills. So, like, not KD, her like KPR. But point being, she gets an absurd number of kills and she only died 6 times. So again, her KD is astronomically high. It's not... Vanya, okay, listen to me. This is not okay. You need to chill. It's like, they have families and you need to give them a chance.
I'm so sorry, I wasn't expecting that, Sam. No, I think it goes back to like what we were saying as well, like before the map even started, like having Vanya come onto this team, taking away like that IGL role and moving into the more supportive role that she's playing now. We're getting to see possibly the full potential of what she's actually capable of. So it's just nice to see her in this new environment where she can just have these pop-off moments. Like it's really nice to watch. Obviously not so nice for Falcons to taste that defeat just then.
And the funniest thing is that one of our storylines was about the fact that Vanya coming onto G2 doesn't have to be that pop-off queen superstar. But you know what? She can. She can still do it. So you know what? Sometimes she can sit back and sometimes she goes, no. You know what? I want to be home in time for tea. So we got to get this done.
She wants to win back-to-back Game Changers finals because she's a reigning champion. It might have been with a different team, but it still counts. For the side of Falcons, though, something that we have noticed from them is that on their attacking side, they do take a while to try and hit the bomb site. And the problem is when you're playing against a team like G2, and they should know this by now, they're just going to sit back when they can and they're going to hold angles. They are so disciplined. They're not going to give you information. So why, Billy, would Falcons try and wait for it?
I don't know. I mean, I think that's why we've seen a couple of weird plays from them, just having Toki dash into site and seeing what they could find. I want to see them looking for more information during the mid-round before they actually decide where they want to commit to. So as much as they're kind of waiting for a G2 push, we know that it's not going to happen. So they should be doing some information gathering in each extremity of the map, maybe take some control up mids, what have you. And yeah, just actually actively seeking out where G2 could be playing. But in saying that, we've seen ResQ move around with the op from place to place if she wasn't finding any contact. So I think it's just a matter of G2 being so aware of what Falcons' playstyle is. They know that they're struggling with this contact playstyle.
The thing is, like, for the thing about this comp is that it doesn't have a recon initiator, right? So you don't get to get tons of that early access or early information that you would like. So that really changes up your playstyle. You've got to take advantage of things like the KO knife. So hopefully we see that going a little bit better as we head into our second map.
Yes, we're going to be heading to Split and we're going to go into Agent Select. And we are expecting double initiator to be run by Falcons and double controller from G2. So let's have a look. Impressions then. Do you think Sky is still strong enough to take this map, Billy?
We've seen a couple of like plays yesterday. If they're actively seeking information with the sky flashes, I think yeah, sure. In particular, fighting with mid, I know a lot of teams have just kind of been leaving mid open at the moment and just allowing players to funnel into heaven. So if that is the case, I want to see some trap plays set out with this breach and raise combo and leaving the other two towards the other sites with your Omen and your Cypher, sort of anchoring those areas and just being able to provide the information to the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think what's terrifying about the breach and the raise and the fade is the sheer amount of like combo plays that you can go with. I think that the Sky still brings a lot with her for information, even though that flash doesn't regenerate anymore. You can still get value out of that, and you pair it with a breach who has their own flashes as well. So it can definitely work, and slightly different compositions, but both with their merits.
Well, let's see if Falcons can speed things up and make it 1-1 as we head into Split with our casters, Bilski and Pavlos.
Thank you very much, Frankie. This is going to be an epic one, right, Pilski? This is a moment where Falcons can prove that they can play against the top of the top in EMEA Game Changers, and there is no other time for them to do it. Right now, this is their map pick. This is where they have to start putting their foot on what should be their own, and it's a matter of them proving us that they can do it up against a team like G2 Gozen.
Alrighty. Well, very important, obviously, for Falcons to start off this map very strong after difficulties on Breeze there. See if they're going to be able to recover in this grand final after a bit of a drubbing in the last map there, Pavlos.
Yes, sir. It's time to get rock and rolling. G2 Gozen on defense, Falcons on attack. Let's see if Falcons can bring it back. So far, so forth. Seems to be very heavy lenience in the mid and left side of the map. Same could be said for G2 Gozen as well. Only one defender on that A site. Toki taking the fight straight out of the bat as Falcons to get the upper hand on the initial trade. Something differed a lot on the previous map. Mimi, as paint shots thrown at her, but she takes the aggressive stance and ends up getting traded. Petra keeping things equal, really important as Falcons look to traverse into this B site, but already with two defenders here, and Vanya not really showing her ground. This is going to be difficult for Falcons to even try and get that spike down. Vanya moving in, and Vanya will rip Lodge's head off her body. And Madvi won't live long enough to tell the tale either, as G2 Gozen get first blood on the second map as well.
Pain train just continues. You were hoping that, you know, Falcons were able to pick up a strong pistol, particularly given the fact that they're actually able to take G2 down on this map in groups. But G2 just continuing that strong momentum over from Breeze, and Falcons going to have to continue to try to embrace that grind mentality. It's just going to be a save for them here, a little bit of Sheriff investment. Slightly different game for Falcons to be approaching this game this time around, though. Previously in the group stage when they played Amy, playing the Cypher for G2, and this time over on the Viper, so it does change up the comp a little bit. Obviously, you know, the Trips playing around those, the Cage plays, you can do a lot of Flood Cage plays at the moment. They're quite popular versus the Viper. Obviously, the classic info denial, and exactly what you're seeing here, the mid traps around the orb.
Although they've got the better guns, they seem to be lacking in collecting the kills. Falcons with a real chance. Mimi again, the angels keep getting thrown at her, and she always tries to go aggressive off the back of it. Finally, Falcons start getting things in their favor as Vanya makes it a little bit more difficult. But with Lodge aggressing, it might be an opportunity to pick up a weapon here and play things with equal footing up against Petra.
Yeah. Keep an eye on when that Haunt comes back offline. Dark cover up in 5 seconds for Lodge to play around. There's the Haunt back up for Petra. Does have a Prowler and a Seize to be playing with, and she's hot on Lucia's heels here.
Luge really needs this round. Put Falcons on a really good spot mentally. In rounds, Petra, though, might have the right idea! And she will rip Lodge's head to shreds. With G2 Gozen nearly doing a whoopsie there, but they are able to close out round number 2 nevertheless.
Yeah, took a lot of damage doing it, though. You wouldn't want to be losing 4 guns to just the eco. Spike does go down as well. Whole bunch of points straight into the ult economy. So Falcons feeling very confident about their round 2 buy here. I really wouldn't even be surprised to see G2 just save around the single Bulldog and light armor. Just take the path of least resistance on this defense. We'll see what they'll decide to do with their economy here. But that's a massive inroads for Falcon into this game. And indeed, it is just the Sheriff pistol buy around the singular Bulldog save. So a chance for Falcons to get their momentum rolling early. They need a solid round here against the half fight. Early B main trap, actually just denial of the B main territory. From the Fade, from the Raze, as well as the Breach. You can see Falcons just completely disengaging and getting some nice spam kills through the smoke. A player advantage for them very early on here.
Yeah, there should be a clear round here for Falcons. Losing this round is not an option. Should be a gift given the work they've done in the previous round. But still, Petra is the only player with a substantial rifle of sorts. And that's where Falcons are entertaining their directory.
Just running down the clock. Petra's the only one really contesting. Obviously, they still have the Breach Viper in middle. Haunt gets taken out by 2 players. So that's at least a little bit of info that Falcons may be sticking around towards B here. Fault line and Paint Shell still up, and Petra's going to get pushed off this line.
Being pushed off this line is a understatement, really, with how much was thrown at her. With 40 seconds to spare, G2 have a good idea of where the initial push of Falcons was going, but hang on a second. There's a double back in the making, given how far onto that A site Sandra has got to as well.
30 seconds left.
There may be a real opportunity for a clean take.
Yeah, they've been able to call the audible here. Cypher was in sewers, so it's a little risky to run back to the site and actually re-clear all of this space, but Falcons feeling like they've done enough, denying that info line to Petra over on B main to rotate back towards the A side of the map, so they're going to run into this site for free.
10 seconds left.
Get that plant down nice and open for A main. Still plenty of util to be able to make this retake very difficult, and they've got that A ramp control, so really strong looking post plant for Falcons here. G2 just looking for damage in this retake.
Yeah, clean pick up here for Falcons, who convinced us of shake off of the nerves. Petra's Prowler spotting presence, but nothing other than that. That's a strong fault line, catching off a couple of players. Madvy's got her teammates covered. Amy, good for at least one.
Standing.
But they're all in a corner. As the world closes in on them, Falcons close out their round as well. So that's one in the bag, but a long way to go.
Yeah, 4 players surviving. One off the Seekers. Eva was absolutely massive in their last game as Split. She had a lot of big impact multi-frags, especially in post plants, couple of clutches on the attacking side for Falcons, so especially given that she's the main player with big game experience for Falcons here, I'll definitely be keeping my eye on her once again to kind of be leading from the front and giving them the really big impact rounds once again, the multi-frags where she could just give the team a lot of energy and a lot of confidence. G2 now back on the buy though, and once again denying control of B main. Dark cover onto the backside, TP across. Just keeping an eye on mid once again, contesting with this Viper Orb. It's something you have to respect. Sandra being harassed by the Prowler over on the A side of the map though.
And with his presence from D2 Gozen, there's still not much information gathered. So if a late hit comes in from Falcons, rotations will be a little bit too far. Petra repositioning, and she's going all the way back.
Yeah,
Up into the B site. This is a pretty bad scenario if Falcons are able to get a clean take over the A site.
It's just ResQ dropped off on the info line. She'll look for a single pick, but no satchels to get out here. The cage actually would have given her the opportunity to cross, but she's going to stick around. Falcons clean side XE. ResQ just catching Eva, just getting the orb. That's the Seekers denied there early on.
Rescue playing the patience game, and it pays dividends as G2 now playing with the numbers advantage, but look at Falcons, they're pushing up all the way into screens, all the way behind enemy lines. But it's a matter of G2 Gozen is smart enough to look in this direction. They themselves have gone the long way around. Into A main they go. But it's Vanya on the lookout on the flank, and she hasn't expected Toki to be nestled into the right-hand side corner, allowing Falcons to be very dangerous from the skies, having numbers advantage. Well, maybe in health. It's Petra that closes it back in favor of G2 Gozen, and it's all down to Toki. She's got the spike planted for her, but 3 players looking in a direction, and this is nigh impossible unless she can whack all the moles down. She might have been able to get a couple of kills, but it's not good enough. Defusal successful, and G2 Gozen back in winning ways.
Toki just unfortunately taking far too long to be able to convert at least one of those kills. If she gets even one of those players on the first few bursts, that's the paint shells back up. You can rebound that off the wall and deny that attempt. Defusing the spike for a little longer. Maybe take a bit of a different angle. I think the big issue there, though, is Falcon's inability to really, having been tucked into that A site, play that post play and actually trade down effectively. G2 able to get in there and trade out. Put themselves into a 3-on-1 there in the after plan. Straight up mid. Toki looking for these man advantages, but Amy's able to deny. Full stunned. The orb gives her enough cover to get that player advantage now for G2. It's a play that Falcons have been going for a couple of times. The fault line with the double satchel to catch this player over in male side. And this time it hasn't worked out for them. They're once again going to have to play a player down. The same as Breeze here, Pavlos.
It's crazy that Toki just can't get a break. Can't quite get herself together to close out some impactful kills. And it's costly. She might be getting into her own head. And that's where champions get defined, being able to snap out of it. So she's called to action, really. She's got a moment from the grave to try and recompose while the rest of her team tries to draw it all back. Difficult task given how Petra has been hitting shots today.
Oh, absolutely. Especially because I feel like she hasn't really been the standout for G2, but obviously a player with a lot of experience. Rescue, that's just filthy from rope side. Judge gets upgraded to a Vandal immediately, and now a 2-on-5 for Falcons to negotiate.
One enemy remaining.
It's Petra's repositioning and knowing exactly where Mad V is coming from. Yes, she'll be dropping her life, but it's her team lined up for success here. A 1 versus 4, where Mad V, the IGL, the captain, in the hot seat.
10 seconds left.
Planted.
Stun and paint shells in a direction. Only taking damage by the snakebite, but there's paranoia to catch her in the dark. They can definitely know that she's in this elbow position. 2 line up for her, maybe the stars align, but not quite. It's Rescue to put that round to rest and Mad V to bed. And G2 goes in, disallow Falcons from any shenanigans.
Big 2K though. I mean, you know, you talk about the damage to the economy. 3 guns taken away by Mad V with the nice little lineup there. It's not worth nothing. Pretty rough situation to be put in at the end of the day, and it just feels like the same story as Breeze, unfortunately. Falcons consistently having to play this attacking side from behind, the whole game from behind, really. But at least they've potentially opened up a window for reset in the future. With those 3 guns taken away, they can now reinvest, and Falcons Vega going to take a timeout. They're sitting on a lot of big impact ults. They put a fair bit of pressure, thanks to Mad V, on the economy in the previous round. They just need to be able to get 1 or 2 impact rounds in on this attacking side to start to get a bit of a roll on. But if they miss that window, I really do fear that it's going to start going the same way that Breeze did. So very important for Falcons Vega to get one of these early attacking rounds, especially with the impact ults they've got available to them right now, and get themselves rolling on this map before this grand final slips through their fingers.
It's starting to get real rough in the camp of Falcons while G2 goes in, making a statement here. After their loss against Falcons in the group stage, they've just wanted to run down this playoffs flawlessly. They haven't dropped a single map, and I'm sure they'll be looking to do the exact same thing here in this best-of-5 grand final and get their 6th local trophy.
Falcons, the only team that's been able to beat them this tournament. So something that they, I think, took issue with. Falcons this time. On the half buy, grouped up towards this A side early. You got both Petra and Mimi here ready with reactive utility. Got the protocols in place to deal with the set play. Prowler, unfortunately, not quite dodged, so that's a little bit of info.
Two sides of angles here held by G2. And so far, good to hold them back. Flash is good, and Evershot even better.
Your trail.
Mimi Spray finds some chip damage, but G2 goes in, have rerouted their efforts to the defense of this site, and Mimi doesn't need no friends. It's Ludge on the flank, but Amy's on the case. She's read it all right. And little by little, G2 are putting Falcons further and further into the dirt.
Again, just having to play a 2-on-4, pretty far behind, sitting around, waiting for that gas to run out so they can actually start to contest this wall. And as I mentioned before, a lot of big kills from Mad V in the previous round. A couple more kills for Falcons here would make a difference, but they're continually getting smoke cycled straight through the smoke and a box, though, Eva to find the opening pick here and potentially give Falcons an in. Guiding light straight through Heaven. They're trying to reroute into rope, straight into Amy. Eva goes 1 for 1 and will have to 1v2 an ace to win this round for Falcons in 15 seconds.
Whatever it's got going for is that Mimi is very low, so this could be a very doable situation, but you need to check out your left-hand side here, and she won't. Oh dear, that mistake is costly, and G2 will punish, keeping the lead even greater.
Still good damage though. 3 guns taken away. Armor gone there for one of the surviving players, so these rounds, G2 are still stringing them together, but they are expensive. Worth mentioning though, this next gun round, I mean, despite any reset potential, it's going to be spaghetti. big impact ults online for both of these teams. So could see some big ult exchanges here between the Breaches and the Showstoppers for sure.
It's what we call an analyst's blessing and an observer's nightmare. And already we're seeing a Showstopper being dropped off straight away, and it's a Res Q. Straight up the pace. Point blank shot misses! Eva finds a shot instead. Vanya can't trade it. It's topsy-turvy for G2 Gozen. Falcons, this could be their round that they can get back into this game with.
Yeah, they're finally playing with player advantages. Everything working for them this round. Paint Shell's going to flush out Amy. Eva trades the second multi-frag in as many rounds. And as I mentioned, I mean, she's just stepping up for Falcons on this attacking side, just like one of their previous games I watched on Split. Falcons, if they complete this 4-on-2, they can break the money. Cage should just break that line from the breach over on male side. Falcons taking their time to make their way through ropes here. And they're going to be able to get into this A site for free.
I felt that there was a world where Mimi would have gotten a couple of kills through the smoke there for a sec.
One enemy remaining.
A very smart decision, because Mimi did not anticipate it. And now Petra is all to herself.
planted.
Now, you did mention the eco, didn't you, earlier? With all the rounds being kept close. So with a loss here, it could be a potential reset for G2 Gozen. So nicely done for Falcons, and a way possibly to get them back in contention.
Yeah, I mean, talk about impact from Eva. The, you know, big game player here for Falcons. The only player with experience, international LAN experience, reigning champ here in EMEA. And seems to be the one stepping up for Falcons in these last couple of rounds. Once again, one off the Seekers after only popping them a few rounds ago. I believe it was in round 5 on the half bite. So she is fragging up a Storm right now, and it's very impactful to her to be able to actually break the money of G2. We'll now have to go back to the drawing board. We'll see what they're going to be able to put together here, but with 2 players like 2 to 3k in the bank accounts, I mean, that is classic Showstopper. I've actually seen so many whiff Showstoppers so far this tournament. So many round 2 eco wins as well. Those are the big trends that I'm seeing. I don't know what's going on.
I think all of these missed Showstoppers is off the back of very instant close quarters combat, where you know you will find more difficulty in hitting that unless you want to kill yourself in your attempt to kill your opponent as well. So it's risk that they've been taken. Say the early guiding light spotting out presence in that Viper's pit.
Well, G2 are feeling themselves this round, investing the pit in mid with the judge on Amy. They've got the Rolling Thunder as well. They're trying to push Falcons away from that part of the map. Showstopper invested. Toki bonks ahead on the pillar above. TP out up to rafters there for Vanya to get away. The Rolling Thunder going on through. And I'm surprised that one's actually hit for once.
And with that, Rescue is out of the fight. G2 Gozen, not the best weapons, but Falcons getting site control without losing a player is what they need. And they cross the finishing line. Causing Cloud, allowing further movement, whichever takes Cloud to move ever closer. Judge is the close proximity weapon, but Eva was first to see the barrel of the weapon. And still, Petra trying to keep things competitive. A Vandal collected for Mimi. But Lush being an alternative angle, I have a feeling G2 Gozen might want to go for a Rolling Thunder here. There's a real opportunity that they do end up doing something like that, but the stun in Mimi's direction will keep them back for a second longer. Flash doesn't affect Eva, and Mimi keeps on giving. But with 2 more players to spare, both looking in direction, it's all ended just like that. Falcons get a second round running here in their attempt to close up this gap against G2.
Yeah, they're back into it. They're slowly grinding their way back into it. Mostly predicated off the back of some big rounds from Eva. 14-6 after getting absolutely slapped 2 to 13 in the previous map. That is someone that gets fired up when they lose a map. Falcons now really got to ride the momentum, ride that confidence. Their money looking pretty phenomenal right now to continue contesting this attacking side. And G2 only with the Rolling Thunder online. This could be another good round from them. Takes Viper setup once again to contest mid. The orb. Something that you have to respect. You don't know if it's a trap play behind that, if it's a 1-3-1, or whether it's just the Viper contesting and faking pressure from ropes. Once again, the Prowler. Seems like Sandra versus Petra is the narrative over on this A site. The regroup in towards mid from Falcons.
Trying to brute force that mid entry. Putting all their players in a death ball, but they have rerouted a couple of them at least back into showers, and the rest will follow.
Yeah, they've seen how confidently Petra is playing over on that A site, and they feel like they might have a timing to punish. Want to go and re-clear these close positions, but Petra just playing retake now. Over from screen side.
Cam and Cage spotted. As Petra call for reinforcements, caught out into the open, and that's Falcon's pick and the A site hit.
G2 still with the Rolling Thunder, but do you invest that with a player disadvantage here? Seems like they're going to.
That's exactly what they're doing. Mimi chose out the Rolling Thunder, and Rescue looks to bounce back off the back of it. Pushing forwards, that's a double. One into the corner, they know exactly where Toki is, and she's a dead woman walking. Rescue wants to keep it going to grab a quadra, but it's Vanya to pick it up into the end. And with Ever's demise, it's G2 goes in back on the steering wheel. Back leading the game where they wish to take it.
That's just another perfect example of it. You saw it on Breeze. You saw it in one of the previous, post-plant rounds on A here in Split. I don't know what's going on with Falcons today, but you couldn't have gotten a better entry into this A site. The Fade making a pretty big mistake, scaling out screens instead of just playing retake with solo on that side of map. Unsupported, gets caught in transition. And then G2 complete a flawless retake from there. Just scaling into the site, not a single kill for Falcons. ResQ runs in full confidence off the Rolling Thunder and just gets the easiest 3-piece of her life.
Oh, it is a tough one. A technical pause allows the players to just dwell on it for just a little longer. But you're right, it feels like Falcons have fallen flat a little bit. G2 Gozen's retakes have been supreme. Obviously, that Rolling Thunder did help a lot, but, Falcons need to be thinking on their feet here and, seeing the Rolling Thunder and saying, all right, we've got to disrupt by them pushing even further. So, it seems like GT Gozen is a step ahead of Falcons right now, as they are winning on every department, apart from the killing department that Ever seems to be doing quite a strong job on right now, 14-7, but it doesn't seem to be enough thus far. Definitely not doing what Vanya was doing on Breeze, her ex-BBL teammate. Definitely a head-to-head you need to be looking at. But even though her attempts of kicking and screaming throughout this map have been in vain, at least it's a hope. It's a sign of hope for Falcons if they want to get back in.
Yeah, I think a little bit of time to think in something like a tech pause, even though you're not allowed to talk. Definitely a lot of time to mull over the last few rounds and consider how you want to approach the rest of the half, especially as the IGL or the coach just have a bit of extra thinking time. I think Falcons, so far from what I've been seeing on their attacks, been quite stubborn in their default approach a lot of the time. They will mix in the set rounds, the exes, things like that, but they often do just running the same default and feeling things out. I really feel like on this attacking side, a lot of the time, they lack adaptability, and looking at the comp at G2, it feels like they start mid, they start in 1-3-1s quite often. And I really do feel like against this comp at G2, it's cypherless. They're seeing the Fade contesting A main a lot of the time. They're not really seeing much action on B main unless it's a B main take, in which case you know that you either have to wait and recontest after pressuring the other sides of the map and pulling the rotation away, or you need to have a protocol to retake it. I really do think that the name of the game here for Falcons is to start to force the extremities a bit, a few more side exits instead of continuing to force mid. But I think G2, they're already kind of playing around that. Once again, it's going to be the B main take from them here. Falcons going to respect that. Start cover one way. There's the orb for Petra, who's usually over on this A side. This time it's ResQ left on over there because they wanted to get Petra that Nightfall.
It's always that old balancing game as well that you've got to be playing. There's no way you just hit that.
Someone needs to check her PC, like 100%. This is just
this
way
is
too
not
insane.
normally.
15. This is not normally. You're right, Pavlos. You know your memes well. Toki does not have a gun in this round. Did she forget to buy? I think she did, and now she's been able to pick one up thanks to Ever one-tapping someone in ropes through the smoke. That is very fortunate. Not everyone is ready at the end of the tech pause. Look at this, no armor, no util bought for Toki. She just legit forgot to buy in the tech pause. And yeah, I mean...
It happens. It happened to Bosa. It happened to Navera. It can happen to anyone. It's Toki's turn. And the Game Changers EMEA Grand Final. Petra, pick onto Toki. So that picked up weapon is for Nord.
30 seconds left.
And the Nightfall already expended in mid means that she has to do it with her guns. Lovely pick from Matt V leading the charge. Presence on the back line here from Vanya could be menacing. Trailblazer clearing it out. showing Vanya's presence. Paranoia, a little bit too far forward. And it's time for the rest of G2 Goes and start moving in as well. It's Rescue and Mimi on one end, Vanya on the other. Aftershock delaying one of the ends, but Madvi is clean with it. And Rescue, in her attempt to push, gets stunned up, shut down, and Falcons right back in winning ways.
Yeah, this is why it's so hard to retake one of these sites when you get a breach in there with a lot of util. Not too much needed to be used on the exi there. Obviously, you're cycling the fault line earlier on in the round. Running through aftershocks, running through a secondary fault line, and then another flashpoint. Trying to complete a retake is an absolute nightmare. You saw it with the popularity of the breach comp on Haven in the past. Falcons putting a lot of pressure on G2's economy now. Bucky has to come up for Vanya. That's not ideal. They're not going to have great money if they drop this round. And Falcons are actually starting to get themselves on a roll here. We might have a grand final on our hands.
There.
It's about time. Falcons are contesting. G2 again, grouping up 3 players, but they've got a double grouping over to the A side. And they've pushed quite far forward. Haven't quite spotted where the tripwire is, but if they break it, and even drop back or push, Falcons will start to feel a little bit uncomfortable because the question marks they have towards that A site start to alarm. Mimi walks forwards, one drops back. The buggy is used well enough to get a double kill. And she's still alive, hasn't taken any damage. The aftershock will force out the TP, but Rescue's there to help out. Oh dear, double TP needed. With a Vandal on the ground that Vanya will definitely have her eyes on, but is happy to close up the distance and have the Bucky instead.
Oh, this is where I get nervous for the indecisiveness of Falcons. They've only got mid control in a 3-on-4 here. Flank coming in from Mimi any second now. They're completely sandwiched on all angles.
30 seconds left.
A bit late to this. Never mind, she is right on time. A double kill. And Ludge will fall shortly thereafter.
Falcons, unfortunate. The fault line into... I mean, the Bucky makes contact, and then the fault line straight on top of the play with the Bucky. Vanya legit just laughs at that. Just cackles at this fault line. Does absolutely nothing to her. Left click of the mouse button. Easy as you like.
And in the same way of saying, I don't need no man, she's like, I don't need no Vandal. Right? Saw the Vandal on the ground, was like, nah, I'm good with a Bucky. And sticks with it for the end of the round.
She's sending a message. I mean, you know, Eva's doing her darndest. Ex-teammates, of course. And both reigning champs. Both playing extremely well in this grand final. Which just astonishes you that BBL went out in the earliest lower round possible in this playoff bracket.
Sandra spotted, but she gets a dink onto Petra. Will prohibit her a little bit from playing a little bit too aggressive.
I mean, Falcons are liking that. Obviously, no Sky in this G2 comp. I mean, Sage used to be a thing on Split. It definitely has fallen out of the meta for a good reason.
That from the shadows
Falcons
just cleared out Garage. So they've got somewhat of a good understanding that it's not going to be an instant B hit, so they can spend a couple of extra players towards A. I mean, he's gotten a pick off the back of it.
Very difficult to break in here. See all the disruptive utility, big rotation, as he mentioned, straight over onto this site. And Falcons are just going to try to run through a brick wall here, Pavlos.
Eva looking to lead the charge here, unable to find pot shots against the low players of G2. It's Ludge finally to find openings up against the smokes as well. They've done good work to clear out this A side, but there's only one left, and I don't think they've read where Amy is. From the shadows, it's crucial. This shows exactly where Amy lies. And with a flash, Eva goes for the swing and wins off the site take. Vanya is still a menace though. 6 bullets to her name. But she's got 3 more players to deal with. 1 down, 2 to go. 4 bullets in the chamber. And has to rotate around. Neural Theft going to reveal her position, so it's got to be really clean with her attempt. This is up. Second tag. Has to run. She's good with it. Only a 1v1. And it's Ludge, the player that is low, covering one of the angles with the dark cover. Having a drop back, but Ludge isn't dropping back either. Wants to aggress in, but doesn't take the chance. Hiding within the smoke until it dissipates, and Vanya's found access towards the site. Oh dear, this is stressful. There's so much pressure, but Vanya Kez, that's nothing at all, will tempt her. It's going to be a kill, it's going to be a round win, it's going to be a defuse to end this half with an 8-4 score in favor of G2 Gozen.
It's just nothing but headshots from Vanya. This replay is just insanity. The mechanical skill, you mentioned it, the lack of ammo. Just bursting, 2-bullet bursts, readjusting, perfect movement in between taking those duels. And that's why Vanya has been one of the just absolute revelation of a prospect here in Game Changers since BBL on the come up, all of, you know, stage 2 and 3 last year. And Vanya was a standout statistically for the longest time. I think a little bit of a step down from her, you know, Heidi performances in the group stage of this tournament coming into G2, but into playoffs, you know, she's back in hard carry mode.
She really is. I mean, some say they put a leash on her, you know, into G2 Goes and trying to play a little bit of a more structured approach, but Vanya seems to be fine with it, doesn't care. Leashes don't bother her. She's set free on those clutches to do as she wants. It's Jed 2 now on the attack. Pistol round for them. Amy left for the flank. Lurges spots her, but still it's a B-site take, which Falcons need to decide now. Do they 10 players? They throw 3 players to cover off Amy here. So that's going to buy some time for G2 Goes to reposition. That's exactly what Rescue does. Trailblazer shows their presence. And they drop back. That's a good stun. 2 players concussed. Paranoia as well to follow suit, but they need the picks here and they need them now. Rescue, good for 1, but it's Toki with a double to put Falcons on top here. Petra, side angle, 2 players low. And with Pain Shields going in their direction, they need to start closing out the kills now. Mimi gets 1 before she drops, but it's all down to Amy, and she cannot do the thing. Perfectly placed, smoked. All 3 players look in her direction. Falcons get the defuse and finally get a pistol round win.
Yeah, great retake protocol there from Falcons. Obviously running the 1-3-1 mid-trap on the pistol. Able to kind of reposition through heaven. They spotted Amy on the lurk. They were worried about that, but after, you know, kind of settling things, making sure that they're not getting caught by the screen shove or the mid-lurk, they're able to organize themselves really nicely for the retake. Use all of that utility that they would have used in the mid-trap to be able to complete a really strong retake on that B site. And that's a pistol that is once again going to settle the nerves here for Falcons. Still not feeling super convinced by their performance in this grand final yet. Obviously a couple of standout players that seem to be playing lights out for Falcons. But it's going to take more than that against a G2 who's looking quite switched on today. Looking like there's no, you know, obviously we've had some massive rounds from Vanya and she had a really, really big game on Breeze last map. But I'm getting the sense today from G2 that everyone's stepping up, and it's something that I was kind of getting into a little bit before. Petra playing phenomenal on the Sova last game. I think, you know, even seeing her on the Reyna just playing kind of average in a lot of the comps for G2, she hasn't really been needed to step up, but so far in this grand final it feels like, you know, maybe, especially with veteran players, I get this sense sometimes when they've already won a lot that they will need a big occasion to really, you know, inspire that massive performance out of them. And I think she's looking like she's back in that solid form, which means there's really no weak links for G2. And over on the side of Falcons, I mean, they need a much more across-the-board performance. They need everyone to step up across this best of 5. It can't just be Eva in hard carry mode. That's not going to be good enough to get it done.
I mean, let's be fair. Falcons, considering that we've seen a couple of clutches this game, they could have been a lot closer to G2's score right now, and would have made this defense side a lot more fathomable, a lot more doable, and maybe they could have been in the lead, given the economical struggles that G2 could have faced off of those lost potential clutches. But instead, it's a pistol round win to close up the gap for Falcons a little bit here. It's a tough one, given that high-flying performances were required from people like Ava, for example. But it seems that G2 goes and starts to show some cracks, right? And that's exactly where Falcons are trying to pressure, split their own map pick. This is the map to do it. And so far in this half, so good. First step, successful. It's a matter of how they're able to follow it up from here.
I think anti-eco is exactly what they need. G2 early on just going to be contesting A main. Trip's not broken by the paint shells. They're straight into the site over the top, but the rest of the players struggling to scale in through the trips.
Falcons have got plenty of players to the defense of the
Last
site.
player
As
standing.
Vanya falls from the skies,
Spike down.
G2 goes and are able to find a couple of picks, but it is all shortly over. Falcons read that to perfection and close out the second round of this half.
Alright, well, it's going to be a bit of a nerve settler, I'm hoping, for Falcons. Onto the bonus now. Going to be keeping over 2 ghosts into this round. They got a Spectre, a Bulldog, so pretty traditional looking bonus here. No one trying to go for a Hero Vandal or anything like that. See if Falcons have anything special. Going to be leaning 3 towards A. And the Cypher left on B. Supportive trip for the Omen in Heaven. Dark covers exchanged early on in middle here. Both teams just feeling each other out. Amy, after previously playing the Cypher against Falcons last time around, will have to think about cycling the wall and contesting A rather than the cage timings over here in A main. And she's playing very passive. Keep in mind that she's had to play this A lurk role against Falcons before, so the tendencies have already been built up in her mind previously.
Vanya has been so influential. Clutches and all here for G2. A great pickup, probably the best in Game Changers has ever seen. For now, it's Heaven take. It's Lush pressuring it, smoking herself off. G2 goes and don't want to go in for another bite. Instead, they spread out their wings all across the map, trying to see if they can find an opening, but they don't have much time. It's 40 seconds. This looks like an A hit incoming. With 2 defenders, Falcons have got 2 players with rifles with them as well, so probably one of the best case scenarios for them to defend this. How clean can this be from G2 Gozen? They've got to make sure it is. Toki, not yet spotted, ever. Oh dear, the flash is strong. And G2 Gozen collapsing under pressure here. Vanya aggressing ever forwards. Toki not quite able to finish the deal up against Vanya. But she's low, so Sandra could potentially do damage with the ghost. Especially if she can find herself a gun to work with, and that's exactly where she's going. A couple of Vandals in front of her. Oh, but both G2 Gozen players looking right at her, and it's going to be G2 Gozen winning out the round in the end.
Just choosing to stay active in that 2-on-1, walking hand in hand, trying to rely on that trade potential with the player advantage. A little dangerous to go for the 2-player walk there if you had the late wrap over through ramp side, something like that. Could have been problematic, or a timing peak from Heaven. But I don't know, maybe they had info. Sandra's coming in from screen side. Works out beautifully for them, but they take a fair bit of damage in that anti-bonus, and now Falcons a chance to reinvest. Quite close to that showstopper on Toki as well, so a big multi-frag from the Razor, or even just a singular. Now that I look at it a bit more closely, could definitely change an important round like this and reset the money of G2. Once again, it's a 1-1-3 similar setup for Falcons, and G2 really feeling out this defense. Feeling like mid is free real estate. Prowler straight up into ropes. And once again, Rescue and Vanya have been able to use these prompts to push out of the lurk on Amy, who just peeks straight into the dog and dies for free. There's the showstopper for Toki and a player advantage for Falcons.
Brilliant response from Falcons, seeing that G2 Gozen players are isolated and they take full advantage of it, but it looks like they want to go in for another bite, but Lush this time is outnumbered, but eventually has friends nearby. Showstopper out, has to lose her life for it, so it's still a 3v3, and the B site not quite taken over. Crucially enough, Vanya might be troubled from the heavens. She does cross under to try and isolate Sandra here, and that's exactly what happens. They still got a long way to go. 2 Falcons players split up. Ever from the sidelines, Mad V from above. Blinding. 1 ping down. Flash coming through, but it's Vanya to get a quick pick onto Ever, so Mad V has to do it by herself. With one beneath her, she was so close to finishing up that kill, but that's not going to be the case. G2 goes in on double digits, closing up to that second map success.
It's a bit of a nightmare for Falcons. Reactively, they push out A after losing mid control, and they are actually able to find Amy for free. Still can't close the 5-on-4 despite the fact that they get a big impact Razor online, and G2, I mean, it's the same story again. In the XVXs, the post plants, the retake scenarios, G2 has just been bigger, faster, stronger against Falcons today. That really has been the difference maker. It feels like Falcons can never be able to close out the mid to late round, and pound for pound fragging wise, outside of a couple players on Falcons, they're not able to shoot back consistently enough.
And this has got them into the thinking chamber. Let's see if there's any words of wisdom coming out from the coaching staff of Falcons. It's a tough one, right? And you can't afford being 2 maps down against G2 Gozen when Bind is up next as well.
Bind is going to be a mess, mate.
It
Just
really
go look at
is.
the comps for both of these teams. It's going to be an absolute fiesta.
Exactly. 100%. And Falcons Vega had to go to overtime to take that against Giants X last time around. So I'm sure they're not looking forward to that one. But in order for them to have a better chance in this series, this map has to go their way. They've got to close up the gap. And it might not be this round. It might have to be the next one.
Cover going up.
But I'll try and do as much damage as possible for this round for now.
Yeah, money's reset. They've got the mid trap. Cypher Cam just spotting the toes. Ready with the reactive paranoia and the paint shells. Want to try to catch G2 making moves up middle. Maybe a bit of reactive breach util from Heaven's side to be helping that. But G2, they've got B main control. Amy's not seeing anything towards A main here early on. They're just feeling things out. They're not in a rush to be going anywhere too quickly. There's the stun over onto Heaven's side to apply a little bit of pressure. Spike retrieve for G2, and they see nothing towards B. They're just going to group up on the extremity. Big rotation coming through early on for Falcons here, though.
Rescue to enter, avoiding paranoia and the fault line. Getting a kill for that matter as well. She's on fire! Showstopper thrown out! And there's nothing Falcons can do unless Heather finds some more spectacular sheriff shots. They've actually made this one quite costly, but Vanya is not going to think for a second before she aggresses again. No teammates required in that endeavor. It's 11 for G2, and Falcons trailing far behind. This is the time that they can get back in. They've got guns now. This is their moment.
Yeah, and I think, you know, couple big impact ults for both teams. Just a singular kill or a singular orb off could make big difference makers. And Falcons obviously needing these rounds a hell of a lot more than G2 right now. Once again, just leaning on the same setup. They really haven't changed things at all. They've run 2 setups on defense side split, it feels like. Mid-trap and 1-1-3. That's been it. Straight up mid yet again here for G2, completely uncontested. Rescue has been in ropes and mail like 5 seconds into the round, both rounds.
Rescue against the smoke, actually pushed out of it. Quick enough to pick up Sandra. Lodge is there for the trade, but Petra follows suit as well. So P-Site moving in. G2 goes into his favor. And again, Falcons find themselves on a retake point with less players alive. They've never been really comfortable for this one. And Mimi even has a Rolling Thunder as a guarantee. It's looking tougher and tougher. Amy, she's stunned, spotted by Toki. Evening the playing field. Rolling Thunder, Toki stunned up, but has got cover. It's enough to buy time for them. Vanya tries to go all the way around. But it's ever Mad V to bring things back to a double standpoint. As we're into a duel, but Mad V's position is completely telegraphed, and that's exactly where Petra tries to put a bullet between her opponent's eyes. 12-6, 1 map required to put G2 Gozen on a 2-map lead here in this grand final.
It's a calling masterclass right now from G2. Reading the setup perfectly of Falcons, and this has been the issue for Falcons I've highlighted time and time again. The stubbornness and inability to adapt is really rearing its ugly head right now. They're running the same setups over and over again, and G2 is out-calling them, out-reading them. Now moving towards the A side of the map, it is going to be the Cypher in position with the reactive breach util. They've moved towards the extremities this time for Falcons, but on a comparatively weaker buy. G2 just waiting out their timing for the exit right behind this Viper wall.
Face your fear! Listen up.
Really nice placement of Rescue there. Right into the top of the site. And Mad V somehow is able to find a pick of smoke. And now with a Rolling Thunder, could do quite a bit from that position. She just needs to stay alive until the rest of the team comes in as well. But it doesn't seem like they're budging yet. They're waiting for the spike to go down. Smart enough of a decision.
I love this from G2. They're just cutting sound, letting Falcons overplay their hand. There's a lot of pressure on Falcons being up against map 2 point. They're over-rotating, and G2's taking full advantage. This is the sign of an experienced team understanding how to navigate these mid-rounds, knowing that they could just apply pressure by cutting sound and pull rotations away from the site that's been so active since the start of the round. It's a free open plant for Vanya inside of the dark cover, and a very low percentage retake for Falcons.
And Falcons now need to spend some time to traverse back towards this A site. Trailblazer spotting out one of the players, but how many truly are in that position? Toki taking Mimi down. They know there's at least one more player there now. Rolling Thunder does take place on site, and it's Toki to flawlessly take on that A main side approach. Rescue is the next one in contention, and Vanya comes out from the shadows to find a double herself, but Madvi has got her team covered. Do not worry, she cries, as Falcons remain alive in the second map.
One player surviving though. Going to be difficult for their economy to recover from that. I think G2 should be able to reinvest here. Interested to see what Amy's going to be able to put together. She was a little poorer than the rest of them. That's a nice little combo there from G2. Double saturate entry up onto the flower pot. Combo of the Paranoia and the Nightfall removes all of the hearing for the Cypher, as well as I'm imagining most of the vision as she tries to turn around, playing retake, elbow side over behind the cages, and the Raze takes full advantage of that.
Yeah. It's good to see Toki come alive again, though, right? Because I feel like the first half of this second map has been pretty rough for her. And the moment she feels alive, it seems like the whole Falcons roster looks so much better for it.
Straight up the guts, yet again here for G2. One off the showstopper for Rescue, who's already found her way into Mail, but after initially taking that control and having lost B main, which has now been further pushed by Falcons. They know nothing's going on towards this B side of the map, but they're a little out of position to defend this A split. It's going to have to be Sandra buying time on site, supported by the breach util of Mad V to defend this A hit.
Well, the camera so far has no information. As they do cross the toxic screen, they will be breaking it. How many players are truly here? Falcons have to ask. From the shadows, enabled traversal through vents, and they're loud about it. It's definitely telegraphed. Paint Shield's thrown to their feet, so it does make them drop back. Showstopper thrown, that's one kill. Splash onto another player. But is that good enough for an opening? Look how quickly Falcons have adapted the defense of this B site. G2 goes and will be moving into a heavy inhabited site. Eva, good first shot. Sandra repositions and repeats. That's a kill for her. Eva still alive on the defense of this site. Vanya doubles up with the spike in hands, goes back to the A site with the from the shadows, and now has an opportunity to take on yet another clutch.
Trip's going to limit her movement, see if she's going to rip a shrouded step onto a different angle. Falcons, not really much useful util outside of the dark cover to be completing this retake. Going to go hand in hand through rope side here.
Leaning up close to the tripwire. Dropping back just in time to not be visible from Sandra's heaven position. And Falcons are going to play this together. Cover going out. Sisters in arms as they start to move in. Vanya, she's done it before. Can she do it again? Because time is in her favor, but not the numbers this time. It's Falcons, again, making it look dicey, but they get it done nevertheless. An 8th round, 4 to go to find the equalizer against G2.
A little bit of a hard stopper against the half buy, but they're able to put the pieces back together. Good stuff for Falcons, being pretty on top of their rotations that round. Especially Toki denying that ability to pivot straight back into Mail and try to go back to B after the From the Shadows TP behind screen side from the side of Falcons. Showstopper and Pit up for G2. Big ults that can potentially open up and close down a post plant. See if they end up getting used here. Once again, mid is just so free. G2 being given it absolutely every round and taking full advantage. Rescue once again straight up into Mail, 130 into the round, and the Showstopper gets ripped immediately.
A complete change of pace, but she hasn't looked below. Showstopper does collect one, but is it good enough? Lunge's position. I'm not quite sure how telegraphed it is, which allows Toki to get a double as well. Falcons, they're getting a quick win out of this one. G2's fast pace, not paying dividends, walking right into the Lions then. And Amy now trying to play catch up. Mimi as well, but both revealed positions. Swing, and not a miss. Amy. Players looking at her. Oh, but she's so clean! And might even have a chance against
down,
Toki.
B.
No, not this time. Spike dropped again. And it's Mimi's turn. Amy did get a double. And if Mimi can match that, this could be the end of map number 2. Spike for retrieval for Mimi, and it's handed over with 40 seconds to spare. This map is her oyster.
A lot of breach util up for Mad V. Same can be said for Mimi.
Left.
Falcons just playing together, staying active, trying to play the buddy system to clear things off. I don't know if they've heard the reroute through Ved's side.
So.
It seems like they're on top of the rotation.
Yeah, I think they were barely in a position where they could hear it.
Spike planted.
So it's Mimi now, 1v2. Stun up. Stun and retention. Aftershock to both sides, both breaches trying to do the same exact thing. But Mimi, can she do it by herself as Toki is sticking the defuse? It won't be happening this time around. Falcon knew exactly what to do in that position. And staying in the game, albeit all the odds.
Especially in a tense situation like that, it's great to see Toki full trust in Mad V to keep her covered as she sticks the defuse all the way through, recognizing the breach's backside. Not planted for her. Timeout now for G2 Gozen. After 4 in a row, it's been 3 back from Falcons Vega. And they really haven't changed up too much. They've been fighting towards the extremities pretty regularly, giving up mid control. G2's still being able to pretty consistently find control of mid, and Falcons just relying on their protocols to be able to reactively deal with these site holes, with the mid splits, with the ropes control coming on through. I'm keen to see if they do actually change things up, if they'll go back to this mid trap yet again, or whether they're just going to continue sticking to the same game plan. Because G2, they've got a massive asset. They clearly recognize mid is free real estate. We just need to work out how we can convert that into a 13th round and move up this series 2-0.
I mean, all it takes for G2 Gozen for Falcons to make one mistake, right? And surely Tempest must have said this. Ease off. Chill out a bit. Feels G2 Gozen got a little bit too stressed to play a couple of rounds aggressively. And Falcons will punish them. I think G2 Gozen need a little bit more time to figure out what the play is, what the setup is. But the fact that Falcons are starting to shoot back, I think that's where the problem lies.
Once again, space taken in mid by G2. Straight up into Mail is Rescue yet again. Reactive Paranoia. Ever going to peek off the back of that and find the player advantage. That's a big pick for Falcons.
That is mad. Because Rescue was not paranoid in that situation. The rest of her team was. But she had all her senses intact and still gets dismantled by Eva. Still, one left onto this A site, and that's Sandra.
Cage triggered.
Aftershock, well placed. We'll have to fall. Also, never mind. It doesn't affect her at all. That's a pick onto Vanya. And finally, Sandra drops, and the A site given over to G2, but they're climbing upwards here. It's a 1v, well, it's a 3v4.
Don't get in my way.
Get invested by Amy, but she's 5 HP. Very spammable here, Pavlos.
It is indeed. Petra, good shot. Knows exactly where Toki is, but with a Viper's spin, she herself can't see where your position is. Man V into the fight, which allows Mimi to be all by herself. Spike again being defused, and it's the exact same story when it was a 1v2 a couple rounds ago. Falcons all of a sudden find themselves in arm's reach of G2, matching double digits. And with a 5-round winning streak, I believe. Or 4.
It's just a beautiful opening pick from Eva, and once again, it's like I said, it's the reactive protocols to the mid control. That time, the dark cover Paranoia, just being able to segment off the raise. That was a beautiful supportive fault line from spawn side over there from Mad V to set up Sandra for success. You can see, I mean, we've seen in previous games she's played that same position, and G2 clearly very aware of that. The aftershock into that position to deal with that one-way spot. But still able to find success there thanks to that util offered to her by Mad V. G2 now back on another half buy. It's going to be a quick play towards the B site.
I don't know why, but this game feels like it's destined for overtime. Dark cover to the back of side. Rescue goes in, barely a weapon to work with, and everything thrown at their feet. G2 want to get rid of this round quickly as they walk into Falcons. Get ripped to shreds. One by one into the meat grinder.
Flawless.
Turned into mincemeat. And 1 round only between the two teams. A 5-round streak and an Andalucia flawless for Falcons. And it's 1 round distinguishing G2 goes in from a potential map 2 or 1 round away from a potential overtime.
Yeah, Falcons have already been getting their grind on yesterday against Giant X, playing these OTs, really fighting for this game. So this is familiar territory to them. Another timeout here for G2 to try to close this out in regulation. Falcons already, their retakes have been looking phenomenal in the last 5 or 6 rounds. And this round, I mean, great ults to be able to complete a retake or even have, again, like I mentioned, one of these reactive protocols to shut down quick mid control. Showstopper and Seeker is going to be great tools for Falcons to be able to grind this into OT. Over on the side of G2, one off the Nightfall. They've got the Rolling Thunder as well to be able to kick off one of these XX or even potentially disrupt a retake attempt here from Falcons. That's something that's going to be playing in the mind of G2, I think, because I feel like they've had much less trouble taking the sites a lot of the time and a lot of trouble closing the post plants. So we'll see if they're going to hold that over into the post plant or potentially invest it, maybe try to get Petro her Nightfall, and that can be the ult they rely on in the post plant to try to close it. We'll see what happens for G2.
Yeah. I mean, G2 goes in this second half, they use their first timeout in this series, and just a couple rounds later, we're seeing yet another one. So you know there's a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, I'm just so interested because it feels like they are continually going towards this mid control. They recognize it as a massive asset, but they're having trouble converting the mid to late round and the site takes, and that's something that it can be hard to make adjustments on the fly. It's more of a micro adjustment. You recognize that macro-wise, you're getting a lot of control. You're getting something that's very valuable straight up into rope, straight up into mail. But the difficulty sometimes for a coach is being able to make these adjustments on the fly in terms of taking the site and just, you know, adjusting the little bits of util or the protocols. Once again, it's the 1-3-1 here for G2. A little bit of mid pressure. Haunted to ropes, smoke to mail, rescue once again taking space with both the Fade and the Omen close behind. Big setup here for Falcons to be able to try to deny any control or space in mail.
There's so much for Falcons on this left-hand side. And there's a lot of info gathering on that A site. Hotoki with a showstopper straight out of the bat, misses the mark though. An opportunity to get the numbers advantage early on in this round, miss. Seeker's thrown out as well. It feels like we're seeing a couple of panic ults coming out from Falcons. They've got none of the other ultimates left in their chamber right now for the remainder of this round.
Yeah, G2 just baited that trap so perfectly. They've dealt with the cam over on Heaven's side. A lot of pressure now for Falcons who have no control of this A site. They're just playing full retake. They're worried about that Heaven control because the cam's already been dealt with. So G2 going to be given so much space, and the Rolling Thunder still not used yet. The potential to get that Nightfall. These ults could close the game in the post plant for G2. Rolling Thunder going to be invested on the side to try to catch. No, she's going to hold it. That's massive for Mimi.
I mean, normally I would be concerned with time trouble as there were 30 seconds and all still in sewers, but there was no one on this A site to stop them from moving in. And the Rolling Thunder kept.
There.
And this is a 5 versus 5 retake. This could get rough, this could get messy. Toki stand up early, has to move into elbow. Vanya, not yet challenged, but it's Mavi with first blood. Mimi and Vanya doing God's work to the back of this site. And all of a sudden, Toki is very low, concussed up as well. Mimi wants to do it all by himself. As a captain, leading from in front this round. And Ludge, all that remains. What a valiant effort it has been. What an amazing comeback. To put us in the hope that Falcons can do it. But all that was needed is one great round from G2 Gozen to close out map number 2. And they've finally done it.
Oh, that's just so rough for Falcons. What a beautiful string of rounds to be able to attempt that comeback. Almost brought it all the way down to the wire, but the panic ults right at the end of that, after the mail control, the showstopper misses the mark, the Seekers over-invested, and then with the cam being taken out in A-Heaven, they don't react at all. They don't take any space anywhere else on the map. They don't make a push. They let G2 into that A site for free with a Breach who has a full kit, and that is just one of the most difficult things to be able to complete a retake into, and you see exactly why with how confidently G2 took that 24th round, and now they go up 2-0 in this series. That's big problems for Falcons.
Well, in one way, we saw Falcons combat their nerves by stringing a set of rounds that nobody thought possible, right? We all thought this was going to an overtimes, but it seems they couldn't battle their nerves on that final penultimate round that could have potentially taken them to overtime. So this one is anyone's game. Well, not really for Falcons anymore. It's G2's game and series written all over it, unless Falcons are able to do the impossible and bring home a reverse sweep. We'll be into our third map, Blind, next, if I got that right. Yes, yeah, hope to see you there because it's setting up to be quite a banger of the series.
Absolutely. Look, keen to see, what that is going to actually end up entailing, but I'll tell you what else I'm keen for here, Pavlos. It is, of course, Valorant Masters in Madrid over there in Spain. It's going to be a bit of a trip for me. I probably won't make it there, but maybe a little easier for you to head over to Spain, perhaps, mate.
Yeah, I'll do my best to make it there. It's of course what everyone's been waiting for in the world of VCT, our first global event of the year. So make sure you do get your tickets there quickly. But yeah, we'll be back shortly with the third map of this series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I know a place that will break you into 1,000 pieces. Stay away from them. Stay away from Lorca, Paco, and Picasso. Don't ask about Lola. Ay, Caballo Grande. Ay, Dolor de Nieve. But in spite of everything, it occurs to you to visit Andalusia.
Don't say I didn't warn you. Be careful of the Andalusian crush.
Hey guys, it's Jimmy Lin. In this series, I'm going to walk you through Attack on Pearl. Watch out for the stairs, clear this angle. You're going to be able to fight this.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Do you feel what the eyes can't see? You hear it calling way down deep. Trust your heart, it'll keep you true. This world expects so much from you. From the dark out into the light, it'll come in the middle of the night. You were raised in the sacred place. Evil runs when it sees your face. Throne calls your name.
Welcome to Valorant Game Changers EMEA. We're 2 maps into this best of 5 grand final between G2 and Falcons. And G2 have just made it 2-0. Although we have to say this wasn't as clean a performance as we saw on Breeze, because G2 got slightly sloppy, Sam, at the start of Split.
Yeah, to be honest, look, I think it's more being a little too over-aggressive, right? And the thing is, this comp lends itself to hyper-aggression. So they push out, they try and take that space, they try and get behind Falcons, push them off of their angles, get them a little bit unnerved, and for a lot of it worked. But Falcons, I will give them this, they can adapt. They kept that first half incredibly competitive, and that second half so very, very nearly took us to overtime. But G2 with the double timeout in the very last round there, I think whatever conversation was being had there saved their skins.
Yeah, I think it was really nice to see Falcons have those sort of adaptations. You know, they had counter plays with their reactive protocols. And yeah, it was just nice. They were able to shut down retakes. And G2, although their attack was a little bit dicey in some places, as soon as they were getting that bomb down, they were struggling on the post plant. They could get into sight, no bother. It was fine for them. It was easy because they were using that same aggressive approach that they had on the defense and switched that up into their attack, knowing that they'd have a numbers advantage when they went into these sites. But ultimately, the post plants was what they struggled in, but nonetheless, they still managed to take them out.
What does this tell us then about Falcons, Sam, in terms of like their game plan and how likely it is that we're going to see more than 3 maps today?
Look, Falcons, I feel like, you know, they said in their interview as well, they know what's cooking and they need to figure out how to adequately adapt to it. And to be fair, they did. The problem was that, like, it took too long for the adaptation to take hold. And the fact that G2 were already on 12 rounds, I think that, like, if G2 gets to round 12, or if G2 only gets to like round 10 or 11, Falcons could possibly win out that map, because then G2 take their double timeout, maybe they win a round, and then maybe Falcons, you know, readapt and they can close it out. But they allowed too many rounds to slip through their fingers. We also noticed a little bit of panicking, a little bit of like ultimates that seemed a bit odd. The most obvious example is in one of those last rounds, we see the showstopper come out, it doesn't connect, and then it's immediately followed up by the Seekers, and it's like, okay, well, now you have no ults left. And it's the last round. So I think that, you know, nerves, panic, you can get into your own heads a little bit here. And I'm really hoping, because now Bind is last chance saloon. So hopefully they can kind of rein that in a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely think there was a little bit of panicking going on from Falcons. But in saying that as well, I think something else that we've seen from this map was those individual plays from G2 Gozen. We had players popping off in those clutch moments when they needed to.
Yes. Talking of clutch moments then, we've been desperate to bring you some epic replays, and it doesn't really come more epic than this, Sam.
I went feral, okay? When I see Vanya in this like 1v4, 1v3, and I'm in the green room and I'm saying, oh guys, it's fine, Vanya's alive, she wins, right? Because that's our motto. I don't actually believe what I'm saying. And as she gets the last kill, these ladies can attest, I absolutely lost it. My table was almost flipped. I could not believe it. Vanya, you are a freaking demon, and this should come as no surprise to anyone, but wow, to just keep G2 alive so consistently.
I love that you just illustrated that as well, Sam. Like, for all the viewers at home, just imagining you sat there flipping your desk, like...
I went mad.
Let's take a look at the head-to-head, though, between the ex-BBL queens. I mentioned earlier Vanya's a reigning champion, and actually so is Eva, because they used to be teammates. At stage 3, in fact, all of last year, these two were fighting the good fight together. Now they're enemies, and Eva was a little bit of a revelation, I have to say, Billy, on that map.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Eva's a good player, but I don't think we expected this when we put her next to Vanya. You know, we've been talking so highly of Vanya so far, but just, again, like 2 great additions to both each teams, like Falcons being able to pick up Eva and G2 Gozen being able to pick up Vanya. I don't know if I switched those up, but we know what I'm talking about either way. Yeah, just great additions for both of these teams now that they've mixed it up going into 2024.
Also, yeah, those KDs are nuts. Sorry, just wanted to point that out. Like, they went mad. I was just really impressed with how well Eva did. We spoke about how, coming onto a new team, she's been an absolute rock star in a way that we hadn't really seen, in a way that she never really had the opportunity to be on BBL just because Vanya was always so good. So it's great to see that she is going toe-to-toe with her former teammates.
I got too excited and jumped in there because I also just wanted the opportunity to shout out Toki as well, because I know that maybe Breeze was not her finest map. However, she started to come into her own on Split, so I'm really looking forward to seeing Bind, and we should talk about Bind. We're going to see double duelist, although a slightly different approach on these compositions, Sam.
You know what? I'm gonna let Billy go ahead and kick off on this one because I want to rant a little bit, so I want to give her some space.
For sure, for sure. So Bind is an interesting one for me. They have both only played this map once in playoffs, and they both played against Giant X on this map. Of course, we've seen Falcons go to OT yesterday, so whether or not they're going to have as close of a scoreline this time round or they're going to be able to close it out, we'll soon see. But yeah, these agents, I'll quickly touch on it so that you can get into it, Sam, but I'm interested to see the Reyna versus Reyna, because these are two players that don't primarily play duelist. We're used to seeing Petra on the initiator, and Sandra, as we know, is an insane flex player.
So my take on this is that the main duelists are actually going to be the Raze versus the Reyna, and the off duelists are going to be the Yoru versus the counter Reyna. And I love the Harbor, I love the Viper, I love the Gecko. Guys, I actually love the agents that have been brought out and the way that these compositions have been put together. But the question is, are they going to play it in a way that makes me love it?
Well, I just want everyone watching who has seen the photos of John Cena at the Oscars last night to think about how they feel when they see that photo, because that's how I feel when I see Harbour in the server and I get two of them. Oh, baby, it's like Ryan Gosling and naked John Cena all at once, and it's like having these two as well on commentary duties. What a relief.
God.
Boys, take it away.
Well, that's cool.
Not sure I can measure up to John Cena, to be honest, but I'll do my best, mate.
That's fair, but this is realistically the final chance here for Falcons to hold on to this series, right? Bind. And it's going to be a fiasco, given that both of these teams have got crazy compositions running into this one. But I think what's really cool about this composition is that they'll always catch you off guard. It's off meta. It's something that you don't expect. But now that they've revealed these comps to the world, there may be room for anti-stratting. So let's see if there's depth to the play of these two teams on their funky comps.
Yeah, this game is going to be spaghetti. I'm just going to, right off the bat, do a big GLHF to the observers because it's going to be harbor pockets, double walls, things like that. There's no senties, so there's going to be big flank plays, TPs, craziness. This game is about to get hectic and crazy, and I'm all here for it. Especially if it's going to be the deciding map in this grand final, which is, I feel the way this is kind of trending, but we'll see what we're going to get here. Jump spot from Sandra, spotting out multiple players there, and G2 started to make some inroads towards B. You've got the three players just playing pivot in spawn. Falcon's not quite sure which side they want to commit to yet.
It's like they know they're going to go for a retake. One player is playing scouting primitives at the extremities of both these sides. And have two players at the flat.
Right there.
And it's the wingman to place that spike down. And it's Rez Q with the first kill. Two players into elbow already. G2 goes and seems to be covering that angle for now. And it's Amy to shut down both of these players herself. G2 goes and bringing in momentum from the previous map. And it looks like they'll be closing out this one flawlessly with only one player remaining in their attempt to get a kill here.
Flawless.
Ever fully telegraphed, three players peak cut, and it's an Andalucia flawless to start off map number 3.
Yeah, nice little set play from G2. Cove to be able to prog out of with the Gecko flash up over the top. Set exit off the bat for G2, and Amy back in fine form. It seems like she's kind of having struggle street on Bind in both of the games against Falcons, but sorry, on Split rather, in both of the games versus Falcons, but back here on Bind, I actually kind of expect her to power up. She had some massive rounds on this game, and I think particularly with this comp, she's left on her own on the lurk, with the Viper on this attacking side quite often and plays that pseudo-senti role on defense, whereas the rest of G2 going to be getting a bit crazy with it. Not this round, though. Pavlos, obviously, we're in the anti-eco. Snakebite Actually, quite cute to come in through the roof there. That's a cheeky little lineup that I wouldn't mind stealing. And Rescue going to get herself a freebie ult orb for the Yoru ult.
Fake teleport. As soon as any noise is made from G2 goes in here towards this A site, you can see the 3 players lurking in spawn have already made their way into this A site, trying to fend off against Rescue. The pinch has gone a little bit too far. Never mind, Turkey walks right into it. Quite unfortunate, I'd say, for the lack of a better word.
Rest of G2, just contact walking straight into U-Haul behind this wall. That's a Bulldog retreat for Mad V, though. This round's going to get messy.
Petra. First shot, line covered. Perfect weapon for the situation, to be fair. Everybody is on no shields. But hang on a second. Falcons have turned it all around with 2 kills of their own. This could be very doable. Cascade from Vanya. Not going to be moving forward after that. G2 goes and need a pick, because Falcons have found themselves a Bulldog.
30 seconds left.
And Eva is the dangerous player that you need to look out for on this one. And she's going all the way around the world to greet G2 in short, while the rest of Falcons are happy to hold that back of the site. Petra, that second shot was nuts.
I'm out of stock.
But this is where Eva comes in play, but she doesn't quite have a gun out. You need to have your Bulldog out, but you do have time. Toki moving in to the smoke itself. That's the pick. And actually, the Harbor Smoke is working to G2's advantage, although they haven't quite touched the spike yet. And Petra's going to play the waiting game. 3 kills to her name. Getting a 4th here! And Petra's got it all covered without an issue at all. A Red Bull clutch. And G2 secure their 2nd round.
Yeah, we've seen her buying the Outlaw on bind pretty much every single time, and anti-eco, and against the half buys, the low buys, it's actually been worth its weight in gold. And once again, Petra coming up huge for G2. Shouldn't have been needed to, but as you can see in the replay there, Luge and Toki, bro, those classics were throwing hands that round. I don't even know what those double, triple dinks were doing, bro. And that has done a number on G2's economy. So Falcons now with the buy up, a potential chance to go for an easier reset round here, but here's this Hero Vandal on Amy. Another free orb for Rescue. Or actually, it's going to go over to Petra, and that's the Empress online.
4 players in the back of the A site. Goes into the hard take here from G2. Goes and Toki's able to find the right Yoru clone. And at the same time, Falcons are finding a lot of success with the Vandals to the back of the site. G2 goes and though, turn it all back around. Amy's strong with that Sheriff. And Amy's got the back line covered. So G2 goes in a matter of seconds, are now on top with Eva trying to do it alone. And the Guiding Light won't be finding anything. And the spike is in the middle of the open. So she can only hope that someone is going to be checking on showers, but no, G2 are going to play this one together. Amy's got it all locked and covered, and Falcons on their buy round are unable to win it.
Yeah, G2, big recovery after taking a lot of economic damage in round 2 there. Thought they were going to play the mollies in the post plant, but I'll tell you what, man, the more and more I watch these walk up behind the walls and dropping the walls after, you know, getting a lot of gas, the other team's expecting, or in that case, the other player of Ever, potentially expecting a long wall cycle, then it just gets dropped on you. Super, super effective play, it feels like, with the popularity of Viper. Not even saying recently, because it's just been in the meta for such a long time now. Yeah. At least it's not as broken as it used to be, but
that's true.
Definitely a popular choice. Another anti-eco here for G2, and I'm once again getting the sense that Amy's back in that kind of star mentality. I don't think Split has really been her map, but from the other games on certain maps that I've seen from her, she will add some more firepower to G2 here, for sure.
Petra on the Reyna has a different role here, right? Opening up, being a different wave of approach. Falcons have got the gist of what's going on. It's Mad V's first to drop. Toki. That's ridiculous. Another kill like that could actually put Falcons in contention. But with Eva peeking out of the smoke, Vanya's got it all locked and covered. And Sandra trying to find cover. And a gun as well. Only if G2 goes and make a mistake here, Sandra can do anything. But it looks like that might not be that easy. Spike to the corner, no one's peeking. Vanya's coming in from behind as well. Sandra can get one, that's all she can get, as it's a flawless streak of rounds thus far for G2 Gozen.
If you're keeping score,
continuing their good streak. Win that Falcons were able to pick up on this map previously. Sandra played a very important role on the radar. defaulting bathrooms a lot of the time on the attacking side, and then obviously on defense being able to contest. I think after a rough map in the map previous, it's going to be hard to pick yourself up. Obviously, Sandra is one of the players that's had to have a role change going into this Falcons squad, new Falcons squad rather, previously being a duelist player and now having to mainly play Senti, but also even flexing into things like Fade on Sunset. So wanting to try to see her get back into the duelist mentality after getting bullied a little bit in the last map on the Sentinel. Because if you're going to play that Reyna, you need to be shooting hard. And so far, Petra, I mean, look, she saved them in round 2 and most of them were the anti-eco kills, but impactful anti-eco kills for once on the Outlaw. She's kind of been, you know, just decent on the Reyna, I would say. No big performances. I think a big performance from one of these Reynas could be map, and in this case, especially being up 2-0 for G2 Grand Final defining. But the other thing I definitely want to focus on for this round is the ults. G2, this comp is so damn scary when they got their ults up. Reckoning and Thrash both online to open up this site. Yoru ult, half the time, if they're ripping the ults at you early in the round, it's just the S key. Just W back into spawn and, you know, start to think about the retake, to be honest.
And Falcons have got this defense approach where they stick 3 players into spawn, and they've done it so many times so far, which makes it impossible for them to have numbers advantage early on the attack. But as soon as they hear movement, you can see the fast reversal to the back of this site. Thrasher out early. Mimi finds nothing, but draws the Thrasher right back to the center of the site. Rescue now will be the first player in contention. And they're waiting to throw in a flash to follow up with an attack. Splitting the site in 4 pieces. G2 are able to dance around it with perfection. Although Wingman is out and the spike hasn't been planted yet, Petra drops, so it gives Falcons some hope. There is a wraparound in the making. It seems that there's Vanya looking in that direction, which is good enough to shut her down. And now, Falcons force them out of the B site. G2 goes in, take no other excuses to stick around and move over as fast as possible.
You had the rotation through market side from Vanya, so the TP would have been pretty suicidal for Falcons. They're going to try to complete this retake with the Cascades and the Satchel out if possible. No more smokes left over on the brim here.
Smoked off for now. A 3-on-3 that Falcons desperately need. Losing this one, being 5-0. Can't be easy on your psyche at all. You're already 2 maps down. Vanya close to the action. That's the first pick. Turns around for the second. God, she's a queen. And there you go. G2 keeps on giving and don't want to drop a single round.
Another back-to-back 3K from Vanya. 8-2 in this map already so far in the series, mate. Plus 25. This is a monstrous grand final from Vanya. Got to be feeling for Falcons right now, having to play off against her for this first place because it's looking like a difficult prospect. The first bullet accuracy and the crosshair placement is just so snappy. Vanya's mechanics just insane here for G2 goes and another half buy for Falcons. They're just getting pummeled once again on this map of bind. There's the flash over the top though, going to completely catch Petra. Player advantage. Weapon drop down at the bottom of B long, but they don't feel confident enough to scale forth and try to retrieve that.
Well, the instant Falcons switch up their play and are proactive in their gameplay, they end up getting something out of it. And talk about proactivity, Mad V wants to replicate that, but on the other side of a map. Never spotted, but at the same time, she's figured out what G2 Gozen's moving for. They haven't cleared out Showers just yet, so Rescue's on that duty, but Mad V is the linchpin here. What she does will be the most crucial aspect of Falcons round here. Yet to be spotted. Vanya turns around, but Mad V can't find the shot in time. And it's weapon superiority to take it. And now equilibrium. 4 versus 4. Mimi close to the action. And Falcons not comfortable to take the fight. Viper spit out, and Mimi's there to cover the angle. And all of a sudden, Falcons trailing far behind. Only 2 players remaining. And with G2 closing up the distance with shorties in hands, it can't be too comfortable at all. But they've got to take a chance here. The next round is where they buy. This one is one that was for the history books already. But it's damage they're looking for. And I'm not quite sure how much damage G2 Gozen is willing to give them.
Last player remaining.
Bot shots through. And eventually G2 Gozen gets it done. And for 6 consecutive rounds, Falcons have not found an inch on Bind.
Bit so oppressive there. I think at least Falcons doing enough to at least force out that ult is something. But it's kind of, you know, wooden spoon award at this point when you're down 0-6 on Bind. So need to change something up here for Falcons. The flood approach has not really been doing them many favors. Orbital's online for Luge here. Getting close to the Seekers on Eva, who after some hard carry performances on the previous map is having a rough one this time around. Someone else will have to step up probably. Cascade progressing up short A here. G2 preparing themselves for this A execute, and Mimi's got the kill with the mosh pit over the top. Beautiful stuff.
Turkey is in trouble here. Paint chills not quite thrown out in time. And yeah, it's all crumbling here for Falcons. There's not much you can say about it because G2 have been winning trade after trade. Yes, Falcons did switch it up, but it was a bit disjointed. 2 players, 2 different locations, both of them not quite able to trade their lives. And it's a story as simple as that to put G2 in front. Mad V trying to change the fate of this round herself. Petra in the fight, but it's Mad V to collect it. Amy, with the information given, will step out of the shadows, get one herself, but back into safety. And rescues there for a guarantee. This is difficult. They both hide within the smoke itself. Broken quickly and off the spike. Mad V doubles up, and maybe there's a chance. Captain v Captain, but it's Mimi to take home the win.
G2 just all over this grand final right now, 7-0. Mad V doing an absolute dime. There's some really nice shots being hit, but it's a util protocol. The set play to be able to take bathrooms that gets pretty much a free kill there for G2 before they even kick off the side exit. And despite some heroics from Mad V and a massive 4K with some very nice shots being hit, it's still not enough for Falcons to get something going here. Another timeout for Falcons Vega under a lot of pressure. Economy's built up quite substantially here for G2. It's a massive uphill battle to be able to try to make this a competitive half at this point.
Yeah. And it feels like G2 have kind of got what Falcons want to do with this composition down on paper, right? They saw so many rounds of Bind being played out yesterday, and the number of 26 rounds to be exact, that I think they've got this all figured out. Really nicely done by the coaching staff to kind of allow G2 to do as they please, but also I think you've got to take Falcons' psyche into consideration as well. They can't be feeling too great right now, being 2-0 down in maps and 7-0 down in rounds.
Yeah, and I think just to, you know, touch on the storylines here. I mean, G2 so far this tournament in the group stage losing to Falcons, maybe not looking like this superstar rebuild is going to guarantee them a win in game changers, at least for stage 1. And obviously they have this history of being such a dominant roster in the past. The end of last year was definitely a bit of a departure from that, qualifying for champs on points overall. Oh, hey. So I think, look, the way that this grand final is going is definitely a bit of a return to that dominant G2 narrative yet again after slipping up against Falcons in the group stage. Both the upper bracket and this grand final have been absolute domination for G2, and it might be them kind of setting the scene and the pathway for what's to come for the rest of the game changers scene this year. Might be everyone else playing for second.
Turkey is aggressive very far forwards here. Doubles up is actually finally working out for the Falcons side as G2 greet them in that long exchange. And Blinker, you miss it. Falcons get around this map.
Yeah, I mean, post timeout, just the 4-player fight straight down B long. Hit him with the scissors, paper, rock treatment. Gonna be good for Falcons to get around. Those are the kind of rounds that you can throw in there. You know, there's a key word we use for that in my team that is not broadcast appropriate for send it down B long and take duels. But yeah, it's definitely a strat that can get you rounds, can definitely change up the pace and the momentum on defense.
I'm actually curious now. I'm actually mega curious. You're going to have to tell us later off stream. But for now, it's Falcons knowing that what works for them is taking aggressive stances. And they're doing exactly that. Sandra's gone a little bit too far though. No reinforcements as Falcons also double up outside of Hookah, allowing G2 goes in and move into B scot-free. But they've gained a lot of map space.
Yeah, this is the protocol for Falcons. We saw this against Giant X. As soon as they lose B long control, they actually just take hookah and push straight down the middle of the map. I like the approach, particularly against a comp that doesn't have a Sentinel. So you've actually had both teams kind of pass each other like ships in the night. Falcons, the read is that this is an A here, and they're just maintaining bathrooms control. G2 not quite feeling comfortable enough with, you know, sound being cut by Falcons that they can get into this B site for free.
Amy is looking. The thing is, also, at the same time, the two players are back. There's players coming in at them from all sorts of directions. And Amy can only live for so long. At least it's bought enough time for G2 Gozen to move into this B site. But it's still a 3v4.
Thrash and Reckoning going to be difficult to complete a retake against those ults. And Petra with the Empress active going to take this full towards spawn side, evening up the numbers.
Petra still has the confidence to take duels like that. Falcons moving in together as a unit. We play as strong. Petra still fragging strong. Wingman in support. And it's Sandra all to herself with not long to live. A quadra for Petra and G2 keeping the win going.
That's what you want to see from the Reyna. Just quick duels being taken with the Empress active. Feels so impressive to play against for all the plebs in ranked. Someone's having a good game on the Reyna. You're just getting wide peeked over and over again into dismiss. Absolutely no trade potential. It's what happens when your Reyna comes up huge and actually has impact. 11 and 6 for Petra. Big fight over short A here.
Falcons super aggressive in this one. Petra this time around is feeling hot. With a quadra, she got the last round. She'll be opening up this one, but does fall shortly after. Thrasher does catch one, but Lush is there to counteract this aggression. There's already rotations in the making here for Falcons, so Vanya pins it in with nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. Falcons are right back in the fight, get a second round themselves.
Yeah, the protocol immediately pushing straight up the guts as that short A hit comes in. They know that those their players over on the A side of the map play aggressively on short A, and they don't want to be left in an early retake situation. So stomping it straight through market against a comp that has no Sentinel. That's what I was saying before we got into this map. That's why this map turns into spaghetti sometimes with these kind of comps. You just get these quick flanks, these crazy rounds that are over in 10 seconds. But you got to give a massive shout out to Luge there to be able to save Toki after the Thrash just shuts her down.
Oh. That's a very aggressive Thrasher from Toki, but it actually pays dividends. Falcons decide that the way to go is with full pedal to the metal. And as G2 wrap into showers, Toki might be going all the way around to greet them. Amy's got the angle covered. Flash in Toki's direction. Rez picks her up, and it's already a 4 versus 4. But just like the round before, there wouldn't be a round of Falcons in this latter stage of the second half without a flank.
Yeah, they're just trying to get into the game. You know, it feels like they've been trying to flood play against whatever retake scenario they end up in after G2's executed. And now they're just trying to take a bit of control of their own lives at this point, make something happen, push on the map, be proactive and assertive, which is exactly what ResQ's doing with this Yoro ultimate, clearing out all of this A site and creating space for G2 to be able to flood up on into it. There's the high tide and the wingman plant.
I think only one player was spotted throughout it, but with the element of nation, they can sort of figure out where the rest are.
30 seconds
Sandra
left.
causing a lot of noise here. A lot of G2 players looking in this direction, and it buys time for Mad V to come in as well to do some damage of her own, and the spike hasn't quite gone down yet. We're at 20 seconds. G2 need to be very careful with this. Mad V in the mosh pit couldn't get away, and it's Ever alone. Spike picked up.
10 seconds
not
left.
quite a safe position from Ever here.
planted.
Oh, actually it is, never mind. So no interruption available. And with the rescue going all the way behind Ever here, there's no way Ever will look behind her in time. So G2 guaranteeing a really strong score by the end of this half, with only 1 round remaining in it.
Another 4K from ResQ there. Massive attempt to be able to turn around around like that. Obviously G2 going down early on to the quick showstopper straight up short, playing a player down right from the get-go. And ResQ this time being the player to step up and bail G2 out of trouble. Continuing to just dominate this grand final. Falcons, it's a very meager looking buy to close out the half here. Does not inspire much confidence at all. One off the orbital on Luge is probably the only thing worth talking about, unless Mad V gets some sharp Sheriff shots. We know she's capable of it. And Petra, smelling the weak bite, has once again got the Outlaw out, even though it's the last round of the half.
Why not? Feeling confident. I mean, Falcons have been pushing quite a bit, so if you're going to be playing the spread out default, wait for them to push approach. It's probably one of the best guns to do it with. And knowing the economical troubles Falcons are in, it's a go figure to go for a weapon like that. But still, G2, very slow in the approach, knowing exactly how Falcons have been playing out the previous rounds, but it's not quite the same approach. This time, the girls in green.
Rotation from the Rays. Will be 3 players with boots on the ground in the site here. Sandra spotting the short creep there.
And then they go, and Sandra is the first to notice contact. Actually moves up very close to this fight. Might be tempted to move out from that smoke. Pressure into showers, but both of the players taking the fights from Falcons have lost their lives.
Back to me.
And G2 seem very comfortable entering the second part of this round. On the post plant, Toki's got to do so much. That's one pick, one piece of the puzzle. And with Rez having all the information available to her, will get a couple of kills herself. Eva, alone, finds a kill before she drops, but that's G2. Double digits even before the half ends. And that's such a strong play on their attack.
There's nothing in this game for Falcons, and Eva, not sure what's happened to her in this game of Bind. You know, she's been a player that's been so reliable, one of the highest rated players in the entire competition. This is a very rare bad map from her, especially given the fact that, you know, Toki's doing decently, Madvu is doing decently, but overall it feels like G2 just bigger, faster, stronger in this entire series. I'm extremely worried about Falcons here. Gonna need a bit of a miracle on this attacking side. Got to start with the pistol, that's for sure.
One step at a time, right? They managed to bring up a glorious comeback on the second map split, but they didn't quite close it out as they would have liked. First things first is this pistol round, and G2 know exactly what is going on. They've dropped back completely. Petra not wanting to trade a life. Amy gets one and gets out of there scot-free. Only half points of health for her now as we enter the post plant. It hasn't even been planted just yet. Falcons is going to take lamp control because they didn't quite have it, which allows Petra to get a nice little kill onto Sandra. Oh dear, might be overcooking a little bit here, Falcons, as the stress is getting to them. Mad V to the back of it. But the wall is good to keep G2 safe. And once it drops, they'll be able to use this Dizzy to move out of it as well. Mimi, one. Vanya as well. And Falcons are trailing behind, 1 player against 3. Eva, with not many kills to her name, won't be stacking up those stats anytime soon. G2 goes in with a pistol win, seemingly inevitable for them to close out this series.
Yeah, and I think we've seen the strength of G2 as big game players in this series. That round's another perfect example of it. There's another round on Split, you know, where they're in the post plant, they're in the mid round. They're not overcooking it. They're just waiting for Falcons to push. They're waiting for Falcons to make mistakes. Sitting, waiting for the flood. Perfect timing on the Dizzy. Great patience from Mimi to be able to actually pounce on Falcons, trying to wrap backside a U-Haul there. Force spy here from Falcons. Last-ditch attempt to try to make something happen here. Will be strong against the Outlaw purchase for the most part.
Petra takes the first fight. Interestingly, though, Sandra's the one with first blood. They've got Sheriffs, which can pack a punch. But honestly, they need a little bit more than that.
This is pretty nice. Opening pick over to bathroom side. This is what Sandra was doing pretty fantastically against Giant X, the way that she was working bathrooms control. The old school way. I've absolutely cast a curse to her there, though, and now over onto this B long line. It's an instant burst from Vanya.
Falcons are in big trouble. They've moved in, and Vanya's dancing around them. Cannot do a thing, really. They're being pounced upon, and Falcons in desperate need of rounds with their mental in the gutter. Yeah, I kind of saw Eva look at Toki
30
there.
seconds
Being,
left.
what now? What do we do? And honestly, I don't think many people have an answer to that question. They do at least have the spike under their control. Toki doubles up though and says that's exactly what we're going to do. Mimi draws it right back up to a 1 versus 2. Eva's got so much to do
10
here,
seconds left.
but she has to isolate Mimi before Amy comes into contention. Mimi is low, Bulldog chase right after her. Spots out where Amy is, and now she has to deal with 2 players. 2 seconds, she needs to kill because she can't get the spike. Oh! And she does so! The Red Bull clutch! Eva keeps Falcons right back in the fight.
After such a quiet map as well, she's quadrupled her kills, I think, or at least doubled her kills with that play. And that is why Eva sets the gold standard here, even going into a grand final where the team is getting absolutely pummeled by her ex-teammate. She is a reigning champ of EMEA, at least for now. I don't know how much longer that's going to last, but they've at least broken the money of G2 with that round 2 bye. And now a potential chance to start to string some rounds together. It's exactly as you mentioned, though. It's just one step at a time. Nothing to get too excited about. It's still pretty far gone here for Falcons. They're going to farm themselves another orb. But, you know, every good comeback starts with a couple of steps.
Well, they pretty much heard all of the players from G2 moving out of the TP.
Spike planted.
So Falcons will be looking in that direction. I mean, they were so close to each other, it could have been 4, so they are taking care if anybody's moving into the spawn. Potential going into showers. Purge moves out of the shadows. Petra picks up 1. Bulldog collected. And maybe things get a little bit dicey here. Just maybe. It's a long way to go for G2. And with ever close by, Bangyan will drop, and the rest of G2 will drop like flies also. With only pistols, there's nothing they can do, and the Falcons have got themselves a 4th. A long way to go here. Definitely not an easy one. But step by step, right, Pilski?
Absolutely. Close to a lot of pretty big ults here as well. Keeping over the Bulldogs. So we'll see if there's any bathrooms or orb control from the side of Falcons in a round like this, and whether G2 will play around that. Reckoning online here for Vanya. Can definitely be useful in one of these retake situations, and it looks like both G2 going to contest showers quite heavily. They don't want to let them have the orb here, Pavlos.
It's not going to be that easy. The idea of what both of these teams are fighting for, and so far nobody's going to be getting that orb anytime soon. It's just the kill tray to come out. Falcons sees shower control, repositioning from G2. And you can see a quick wraparound coming in from Vanya, but would it be quick enough? Part of the result, used onto the side. Amy, a good shut side angle that could catch them up on their cross, and that's exactly what happens. Sandra is down, so is Luj. And in a matter of seconds, Falcons' firepower has been halved in 2. And yeah, with 1 minute to spare, it's hard to imagine what Falcons can do to get themselves back into this one.
Mimi's deep on this market line. It's going to take a kill from Eva and probably an Insta-Seekers to read the rotation if they're going to have a chance in this round.
Right there. One enemy remaining.
Nearly aligned. Not quite. But Amy's there to pick up the pieces. G2 goes in. 1 round away from collecting their 6th EMEA Game Changer title.
Yeah, they're back. They're back, Pavlos. They're stomping their mark on the region. This superstar rebuild and experience in this grand final has really been shining through. And Falcons, I think, just not ready for a grand final like this, it's seeming like. You can't blame them, though. You know, 3rd place at the end of last year. They just came through from the relegation. This is their first grand final. These are the kind of lessons that you need to learn to become a winner. And it's going to be, once again, a massive fight in short A.
I've got your trail.
Push comes in. Toki looking to lead the charge. This is their final desperate attempt here from Falcons to remain into the game. They were able to square a lot of rounds by the end of the last one to not lose miserably, but can they do it again to at least give them a chance for an overtime play?
Spike planted.
Rescue will be alone in this one, and Falcons will be happy to take this fight, but Eva doesn't check the corner. That is crucial. Flash blinding a couple of players, but Sandra's still able to pick up the kill. How will this work out? Thrasher enabled by G2. Luj hiding out, but it's Amy with a triple. G2 They're so close to it, they can smell it. A Toki 1 versus 3. That seems so freaking difficult right now. They know exactly where she hides. They know exactly where she is. She only has time in her favor, but nothing else. G2 goes in, and now your 6-time EMEA Game Changer champs, and flawlessly take back what's righteously theirs.
It's the start of a new G2 dynasty. I'm feeling like the massive pickups of the star players of all of their rivals last year. Amy comes in from Ascend, Vanya in from BBL, and G2 looking scary as all hell for the rest of the Game Changers scene. You can see how much it means to them, despite the fact that, you know, a couple of them have already won a couple of titles. Vanya, obviously, the only remaining reigning champ now that Eva goes down in that grand final. And Falcons, as I mentioned before, great run this season, definitely early on, especially in the group stage, having beaten G2, looking like a very fearsome team, but maybe just not ready, not experienced enough for this grand final. I'm keen to see what they do the rest of this year, though.
Oh, I'm definitely curious as what they've got in store for us, right? Because G2 Gozen have tended to win the first competition of the year every time, whatever the iteration of the roster is, but fall off towards the end and hand it off to a guild, perhaps, BBL Queens, right? So that may be happening, and Falcons look to be the strongest team in contention thus far, but that is a 6th title, nonetheless, for G2 Gozen, right? That's another trophy for their cabinet, and I'm sure they must be very happy about this one, right? Because we're talking about a whole new project, and every time there's a whole new project, it's a brand new risk. That G2 Gozen seem to show us that, hey, they've got what it takes to build a new roster and build a strong one at that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, obviously qualifying on points previously at the end of last year, they've set themselves up well to do that. However, if they keep playing the rest of the competitions in form like that, it's going to take a very impressive team indeed to beat them.
Well, I'm going to prompt you guys to go and buy tickets for Madrid, because that's coming up shortly. Right, everybody, if you got yourselves time, do make your way over to Spain, because that's where the best and best of Valorant and the best teams of the world will be heading out as well. The first global event of the year, so make sure you do scan that QR code and get yourselves a ticket as fast as possible before they do sell out. But there was so much action this game, it all has to get broken down. And for that, we've got a lovely desk led by Frankie to show you the way.
Thank you, PP. Brilliant casting. I hope to see the two of you pair up again. And also, we have to say a massive get well soon to Ash as well. It was fantastic having her on the desk yesterday, and I know she's going to be back with a bang for stage 2 later this year. But we got to talk about the finish of stage 1, Sam, because that was quite the performance, quite the statement from G2. Sam, you were actually telling us, in fact, that this is the first time we've had a 3-0 in a grand final for Game Changers since 2022.
That's right. Stage 2, 2022, when G2 beat Guild 3-0. That was the last time that we had a straight-up 3-mapper, done and dusted, home in time for T. For the rest of the time, it's always been 4 maps, maybe a 5-map here or there, but this is the cleanest. And the really cool thing is that it's G2 back at their full top form, right? Another 3-0 after 2 years, but they've done it. They're back at the top.
They
yeah,
are.
G2.
I am so sorry to interrupt you, Billy.
It's all good.
I'm sorry. I just know that we have our winners on the line. So I'm going to gossip with you girls about what this victory means in a moment. But before then, congratulations, GG, G2. How do you feel?
I'm feeling amazing. How are you guys feeling?
I love that Amy's asking the questions for me now to G2. Yeah, Amy, ask how your teammates are feeling.
How are you guys feeling? Good.
Are you feeling thank you?
Feeling thank you.
Yes! Amy, I am so impressed with your trajectory in the last year especially. Stage 1 and 2 of last year, you came 3rd. Stage 3, you came 2nd to that woman standing on your left. And now you're a champion with her and G2 by your side. What does this victory mean for you personally?
It means so much. I'm so happy I could finally do it. It's been a rough year last year, so I'm really happy I could do it with my teammates, and I'm super proud of everyone.
So tell me about when you got the call from G2. I mean, it must have been an instant yes, and I doubt you were surprised either, but tell me your reaction.
I mean, I was super happy, of course. Like, I just knew Mimi and Petra are super experienced players, but also super good players, and I just know the org G2 is amazing, so it just felt really good.
Were you also slightly relieved to not have to play against them and against Vanya?
100%.
And tell me about Rescue, stood right behind you as well. She had a fantastic performance today. It was such a highlight seeing her get so much valid information and getting some spicy shots on Breeze to kick off this series. What's she like as a new teammate?
I'm super proud of her. She's like such a good person in the team. Like she's super bubbly, and I just love Ada.
We love watching all of you play together. Yeah, we're talking about you, Rescue. Do you wanna say hello, Rescue?
Do you wanna say hello? Hello, 1, 2, 3.
Is she mid-tweet? I think we caught that. What did Rescue just say?
She said hello, 1, 2, 3.
Hello, 1, 2, 3. Her first words as a champion. Mimi in the background, we can just see you. Congratulations on winning your first big event as an IGL. I do want to ask, what's it like not having Petra in the room with you guys? Because we're so used to seeing Mimi and Petra side by side.
It's of course super sad. Like I wish Petra was here right now, but also she's still like giving us energy, and it's still like she's here even though she's not. Like she's still giving us energy in the VC. So, but we miss you.
We miss Petra on the desk as well. I've actually got a candle burning in the background of my room just over there because I saw that Petra had a candle during her interview the other day, and I was like, I really need some of Petra's skill, talent and energy. So I've literally just like copied her pre-game ritual in my corner over there. Now, one of the things that we've spoken about on the desk is that G2, we always expect you guys to win, but you haven't had a year where you've won all 3 events. So how do you keep this momentum going?
Just gotta work hard. We just gotta work hard, and I know if we work hard, we keep our comms up, then our momentum will just stay there. Like I think everyone is super strong on their team. Like we will be able to beat every team.
Amy, I think that might be the creepiest rose I've ever seen.
It's a bit old.
What is that?
It's from. We had it for our National Women's Day, but it's like I had it on my desk since then, and we got this from the CS team.
Did you actually? Is it signed Nico or from Oya or from the boys?
They're here too at the facility right now, so that's why.
Oh, amazing! Well, the drinks are on them, I think, and hopefully G2 are going to get you some fresh flowers. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we let you guys go and celebrate?
No, thank you. I'm really happy. See you next stage.
We're so happy to see you guys back on top. Congratulations again. See you in stage 2.
Bye.
I had to end the interview before I started going on about how much I love her current hairstyle. So another incredible victory for G2. I mean, that was such a definitive victory, especially on Breeze and on Bind, that like it's hard almost to break down the action, Billy. I'm too basic. I'm like, well, G2 just like that map was in their hands the whole game.
Do you know what? It's a hard one to look at because it felt from the offset that G2 really just set the pace of that map. And to be honest, G2 kind of set the pace of this series. Of course, though, shout out to Falcons. Like, it's been amazing to see their progression from contenders up until this point, making it to a final stage. So absolute shout out to them. I'm excited to see how they progress in the later stages. But yeah, G2 really just coming out on top in this one today.
And of course, another MVP for Vanya, because obviously. I will say, G2, if you guys come back and you listen to this, I would like you to know from the bottom of my heart, I'm very disappointed that we did not get a spicy meme at the end of your interview, all right? Everybody remembers the infamous guild trash bags, all right? I was looking for spicy meme, and I did not get any spice. Very vanilla. So G2, step it up. Next time.
What do you mean? They had a dead rose. Mimi gave Amy a dead rose.
Listen, if there was like a Falcons thingy on it, like a logo on the dead rose, sure. But just, nah, come on. I need the
That would have
spice.
been so evil. You know what, talking of Falcons and actually thinking about the other teams we've seen competing this week in the playoffs, I want to bring up the bracket so we can actually highlight some of them because it's the third time in a row, daily, I guess I could say, that I'm using the word potential. But this is really exciting. And as you guys were talking about earlier, seeing that consistency and whether we're going to see G2 perform from event to event is going to be really interesting as the competition gets tougher, as these rosters tighten up their playbooks and their synergy. We could see some true battles on our hands. For me personally, Valiant's very exciting, so much raw skill there. And I mean, Billy, Giant X, like now I've learned to pronounce their name properly. I just think that they're going to really pose a challenge to G2 in future.
Yeah, do you know what? They maybe had an off day yesterday, but Giant X, I'm excited to see how they progress. They as well have a lot of incredible individual players. So give it a little bit more time for them to actually build that synergy and figure out how exactly they want to play the game. Yeah, there's a lot of really good prospective teams here that will go on to do amazing things in future, I'm sure.
And I think that there'll probably be some slight roster shuffles here and there. It happens all the time. I mean, we already know that Jade, according to her Twitter, is no longer with Neon Blade. She's got a really cool thing coming up in the future. So we look forward to seeing that. And I'm sure it'll be the first of many. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the new iterations of some of these teams are going to look like as G2 now take their victory photo to put up next to the trophy. I love that. I love that we have that cam. I just, it feels kind of creepy, but also kind of wonderful.
Yeah. Shout out to the G2 staff for letting us have that view of all the action that's taking place in their boot camp. That's it though for now, guys. I know you're going to be enjoying Madrid if you're watching on Twitch out or if you're working on this show. I do want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's been part of this, from the players and the teams, obviously all of the talent involved. And shout out to the staff who've been working around the clock to bring you this broadcast. We had a newcomer at this event in producer Martin. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we also could not do this without producer Lara, like running so much behind the scenes that you won't even see in terms of like storylines and putting this show together. So yeah, shout out to them and to Striker and everyone involved. But we have to say goodbye. Final thoughts though. Firstly from you, Sam.
Shout out Amy. We didn't get to highlight her in the way that we wanted to in this post-game desk, but
That's my
wow.
fault.
Like, she wasn't necessarily the big fragger that she was on Ascend, but she's such a key pivot point, and honestly, such a big pickup. Looking forward to seeing more from her.
Billy.
Yeah, I guess the final words for me are I can't wait to see what G2 bring to Sunset next split. Go back, do some homework. Let's see what the composition is next time round. But yeah, it's been amazing. Thanks so much for being so great to work with, guys. It's been a really good first stage.
Yeah, more rounds. That's what they're going to bring. More rounds, more firepower, and I'm sure some ingenious things we haven't seen before. Maybe not. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We will see you in stage 2. Good night.
but expect so much from you. From the dark